What?
I said I'm on my internet. I'm gonna watch. I'm not on my internet,
Alrighty, we are live. A little bit of full transparency here. If the stream goes down, we are having like 40-mile-an-hour winds outside. So, if it goes down, of course, that's what's going to happen. This always happens when I try to stream. As many of you know, I've said in the past, I've got this like radio connection, and it's not the most consistent, but it's the only one that can actually handle streaming. All the other internet service providers around this area are awful, like the ones that supposedly use cable or DSL. So that's the options I have. Man, it's Adrian and Ross and Andrew, all very loyal. I appreciate all of your comments in the past. This should be a good little stream. Also, full transparency, Chloe is on one. So if I just get attacked out of nowhere, that dog she is very upset that I did not take her for a walk this morning. And she is letting me know. And I also have food here, so she's going to be an absolute disaster. So, stupid dog. Anyway, yeah, that's what I highly do recommend getting a cow dog. I know cow dogs get what are you, Chloe? Where is Chloe at anyway? Oh, she's stalking Zach because Zach has food. So that's what's going on with Chloe right now. But Chloe is a mixed. I highly recommend getting a mutt. That's the huge pet peeve of mine is dog breeders. Can't stand them because I used to volunteer in a shelter. And you want to get your heart broken? I can't do it anymore. I can't even go in to. Oh, it is freezing in here, by the way, too. It's very cold because we don't have the gas turned on at the moment. So anyway, I'm fine. I'm used to the cold weather. But so anyway, if you want to get your heart broken, go to a shelter. And I can't even do it anymore because it being around dogs like that, I'd come home with a dog every day. So anyways, what was I saying about Chloe? She's like a mixed breed, and I think she has the worst of all the breeds in her. She is part border collie, part lab. Her mother was a border collie lab, and not Springer, Brittany Spaniel mix. And we're thinking her dad was the town. She came from an incredibly small town, and there was a blue heeler that ran around town. So we're thinking that Chloe was also part blue heeler, and you can definitely see the worst breeds in her because oh man, she is annoying. Yesterday she almost ripped my arm off walking to the store because she saw a statue of a cat, not even a cat, but a statue of a cat, and yeah, we had a fight trying to pull her off of a statue. So anyway, let me pull up chat here so I can read it better on my end. Alrighty, so I'll try to get to I'm going to try to go through the Twitter questions first, then the Facebook questions, and I'm going to try to get to your questions, so I'll be scrolling back and forth through the chat to see if I can answer all of your questions. So I hope everything sounds okay. If you'd let me know if it doesn't sound okay. If again, I didn't have much time to set the stream up. I've been frantically cutting, pasting stuff from Twitter and Facebook, and also my car was dead this morning, so I had to call Zach to come jump me. So actually, it was dead 3 days ago, and I've just been too lazy to jump it since then because I live a mile and a half from the store, and the dogs need to walk anyway, so I've just been walking them in. So alrighty, here we go. Yeah, I brought my Shure microphone because I cannot stand this awful. Do not buy this. Maybe I got a bad one because I keep seeing people with a Yeti, and their Yetis sound fine. I cannot stop the crackling. I cannot stop the echoey sound to it. And this room I know is going to be a bit echoey, but I've recorded in worse with this Shure. Like at my parents' house in St. George, they have a very one of those really open living room type settings, and it echoes like crazy. And this didn't pick it up as nearly as bad as what this Yeti does. So for all those of you who are starting to want to start a YouTube channel, I don't know if I can give this Yeti a recommendation, which sucks because everyone else gives this high reviews. And again, maybe I just got a bad one. I've gone through a couple icicles from Blue as well. Icicle is something that connects your microphone, if you have like an audio microphone like I do, into your computer. And I've gone through some bad icicles, so I just think it might just be a problem with the brand, with Blue, that a lot of their products just come out just not good. So I'm going to try to contact customer service and see if I'm just an idiot and don't know how to use this thing, or if I just got a bad one. So there's that. Anyway, well, there'll probably be a lot of rambling here. And yeah, we'll just get to your questions. So I have a question up on screen. Hopefully this is big enough for you. And again, I'll try to answer these as best as possible. Some of them did get a little bit more edgy than I want to answer, but I'll try to answer them in the honest way possible without being too insulting or whatever. So, all right. So this one comes from MTG Treasure Hunter at MTG Treasure Hunter. How does one uniquely deal with people like the Professor and Wedge, who are capable of being genuine people but misguided/pandering, and people like Jimmy Wong, Aaron Campbell, Evan Irwin, or I don't know who that Ninox Morpork or Daniel Fournier, who are racist bigots that are in denial? Ooh. So there's some buzzwords there, racist/bigots. I don't like throwing out those words because it's just, I think that I want to stay away from ad hominems as much as possible. I want, if you want to debate people, if you really want to get to the just down to the nitty-gritty things, stay away from the ad hominems, attack their arguments completely. A little bit of full transparency, not a fan of Jimmy Wong. I think that Jimmy Wong, the tweet that really did me in for Jimmy Wong is when I guess he was talking about domestic violence somewhere, and he said, okay, all the people, something to this effect, okay, all the people that are letting me know all about all the teeny tiny violence that comes from women, basically please shut up about yes, there is violence from women, but it's a teeny tiny portion. And if anything gets my blood raging quicker, that's that comment, because as a domestic violence survivor like I was, and I've talked about this in the past in some of my videos, it's a huge pet peeve of mine that people will not accept that there is no difference in the genders when it comes to domestic violence. In fact, if you actually want to study, there's this great sampling size of what's called in the gay community, lesbian versus gay. Lesbian domestic violence is through the roof compared to gay domestic violence. It's so, and if you actually follow violence, like a battered woman is more likely to have violence in her next relationship than someone that is violent towards their spouse. That's something that was a huge eye opener. So basically, that what a lot of these sociological conclusions came to is the violence a lot of times follows the women, doesn't follow the men. And from a person that's been in very, very precarious situations with a violent female, she would bait me into getting physical. She would do everything in her power to try to reciprocate the physical violence. And there was times that I had to hold her down. I'll be talking about this in a whole video series. You can, I'm sure people will lose respect for me after I'll be full transparent about that. But the things she would do to just bait me to react were just scary. Because she wanted it. That people gravitate to what's familiar. And if violence is what's familiar to them, they're going to continue to stay in violent relationships and be violent themselves. So Jimmy Wong lost every ounce of respect I had for him, which is sad because the whole reason I got into YouTube was Freddie Wong. And I love the video game High School series. So it just crushed me that he spouts off stuff like that I just cannot get behind as a domestic violence survivor. Aaron Campbell, I've never really had any interaction with Aaron Campbell other than I've had people tell me that she talks a lot of dirt on me. Again, I've never done anything to her, never had anything to do with her, which, of course I'm going to have some feelings about her and Evan Irwin still being on the Gathering Magic paywall. Apparently they think that they're politically correct enough, and I am not. But again, we won't go into that can of worms. I don't want to throw a lot of hate that way because they've been nothing but good for me for 4.5 years. And they were very cordial with the breakup with me and Gathering Magic, like at least the people I've communicated with, and I still have friends there. So as far as Evan Irwin and Aaron Campbell are concerned, more power to them still beyond Gathering Magic, but it kind of does show the bias there, in my opinion. Who is Ninox Morpork? Have no clue who that is. Daniel Fournier, I also think, is a person that he's funny because he'll consistently talk about being attacked. But by far, I think he's the most vocal attacker of people he doesn't agree with. And And I haven't had any personal communications with Daniel Fournier, but I do know he's gone after like Travis Wu, gone after Jeremy, gone after a plethora of other people. Comments that I don't think that he had any business. Again, talk about a guy that likes to sling ad hominems around. There's Daniel for you, and he thinks he's like in the right, and those people are scary. But I think it's a stretch to call them. I don't like using those terms racists and bigots. Wow, that was a long answer. As far as the professor and Wedge are concerned, my beef with them is personal. Both of them pretended to be big supporters, big friends of mine. And then when I made the More Hostility of Magic, the Gathering video, I had some personal interactions with both of them. They lied to my face about it because I caught them in being unsupportive, basically, and trying to tell me that they didn't care about that video, when in fact I still have screenshots and stuff, and actually did confront the professor, Brian, about it one time, and he just lied through his teeth to me. So I lost all respect there. A lot of times these people are one people on one end of the screen, and then they're completely other people. I had a huge discussion with the professor about how he was a professor at a university. I think he was in some sort of social science is what he did, and he kept telling me he'd never ever judge anyone for having a different political opinion than him, because he was a teacher. He had plenty of students that disagreed, but I mean, he can constantly say that, and then I'd get people sending me like proof, like private messages and stuff about there was stuff going on behind closed doors, and I confronted him about it, and he just dug in his heels. I would never until I just lost all respect. The biggest thing that what happened to Professor is we had this huge heart-to-heart discussion. It was like 3 hours of talking to him on, well, maybe not 3 hours, but at least an hour of talking with him on Skype. And he assured me nothing was going on. And so I went to comment on one of his videos just to be like, hey, I like your video. Just to actually give my, it was something that was actually pertinent to something I did, and found out I was Shadowbanned on his YouTube page. And the way that you can find that you're Shadowbanned is just go on incognito mode and see if your comment shows up. And if it doesn't, you know you're Shadowbanned. And so I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I am absolutely done with this crap. You can't just lie to my face about something. I'd rather have people be upfront and frank, and not pretend I try to save face and whatnot. So holy cow, there's a whole can of worms that that's a whole can of worms that I can go into on another day. So I'll try to catch up to the chat here that's been going on with what I've been saying here. So let's see here. Aaron Campbell and Jeff Hoogland are literally the most tilted players ever. Yeah, Jeff Hoogland, well, talk about someone that throws around some... I actually like a lot of stuff that Jeff Hoogland says about like modern and things like that. I don't think I've ever had any personal problems with Hoogland or Campbell. So yeah, so I don't know if I'm the right person to speak on this one. Yeah, I agree with you, Young Elder Dragon, that both of them can seem... I don't like to use that word toxic either. I use it a lot though, but it's becoming so stupid. Let's see here. Are you and T-Woo sticking in this together? Me and T-Woo are definitely friends. I like T-Woo a lot. We converse back and forth privately. I think he's a genuinely good guy. He's the same with me. We both like to push the envelope, and a lot of times we'll have positions we actually don't have. We play devil's advocate, and I don't think there's anything wrong with playing devil's advocate. I don't think there's any subject that is too taboo. In fact, there needs to be devil's advocates. Yeah, MTG is at a political war. Adrian says, Aaron never lays into you. I'm a big sponsor of Magic Mike's and even watch their Patreon video. I don't agree with everything they say, but I value their voices. Yeah, I've told people, I know I'm blocked by Aaron, but I guess that's like everyone. And I know they don't engage back with me, which is back to like Evan Irwin. I've never had any communication with Evan Irwin, which is so fun. He's supposed to be, he's the content manager at Gathering Magic. I wrote there for 4.5 years and never had any sort of input from him for 4.5 years. That kind of tells you what Evan... I think that Gathering Magic picking up Evan was the worst decision. Not because of any of the controversy, just because he has been such a hands-off person with Gathering Magic. He has done literally nothing for the brand. It took him forever to even put Gathering Magic on his own Magic Mike / Mr. Orange Guy profile. And that was just like, if we're supposed to... Leaders are someone you're supposed to mimic and follow for a brand. So if he was the brand leader, I almost feel like he begrudgingly took the Gathering Magic job. Like he never wanted it, and it was just like the best he could do. And I lost a lot of respect for him then, The brand just seemed to go downhill after he took over. That's my personal opinions on Evan. I wasn't the biggest fan of of Adam before him, because I know Adam was really in bed with the kind of WotC culture, and Wedge personally, I know that Adam and Wedge are very good friends. That's how Wedge got his job at TCG Players, when Adam took over Frank Lepore's job at TCG Player. Kind of like the musical chairs that happened during the content creators. We had Frank Lepore was fired by TCG Player over, I think it was Melissa. Starcy Games fired Evan Irwin over a scandal, and Adam just moved on to a bigger TCG Player that had more connections. And so there's this huge like musical chairs that happened in the content creators, because Frank went to Channel Fireball, I believe. Yeah, it was weird, all that. It was all scandals too. It's yeah, it's funny. So let's see here. Let's see if I can find some stuff. I'm trying to keep up the best I can. I need a moderator to kind of to tell me what to talk about here. Let's see. Hey, mate, do you think we need to move on from Magic the Gathering and find a new game that hasn't been infected? No, stick with it. If they start losing a lot of profits and stuff like that, they're going to have to just regroup. I think that's the direction they're going. They're banking on Arena, and if Arena doesn't work for them, they're going to have to re-look at their core values and see, like, maybe that we shouldn't throw away, you know, a good portion of the people that play Magic. I don't know if you guys are fans of like MTG Purple. I think he's he tries to be inflammatory on purpose. It's something that I just started, like, because he's been tweeting me a lot, and so I just checked out his content. And he was walking around his game store, and they were all very banterous with each other. And that to me, that's a huge portion of the Magic community. Is I don't want to get too much into gender issues or try to exclude people at all, but Magic for a lot of us has been our generation's way of male bonding in a way. And I'm not trying to exclude females whatsoever. They shouldn't feel excluded, and there shouldn't be stuff that would ever throw away their enjoyment in the game. But I don't golf. I don't go to the bars. I don't have like pool night or poker night with the guys. So Magic has literally, for me and my friends, has been our little guy group. Like, we have a group of people that we used to meet at the game store to bond and connect. And that's what I like Magic. Magic is not my favorite game. Dota 2 is. Dota 2 is my type of game. Fast-paced, team-oriented. I love Dota 2. Magic is my way to bond with people that I enjoy playing games with, because I don't play board games and stuff like that. I love Magic for that aspect. And watching like Purple's video, I'm like, wow, he seems to have a community that they all are really enjoy each other. And I 100% after watching Purple's videos are thinking that is a game store that Wizards would love to shut down, because they are banterous and are that sort of thing. So this is a whole video series for another day. All right, so no, let's not move away from Magic. Okay, man, I am so far behind. Let's just go on to some more Twitter. We'll go on to another Twitter. I'm trying to click. There we go. All right, so this one is from you, Adrian, since you're on here. Here's my question for your cast. I've had the pleasure of entering into conversations with multiple MTG community members, Corbin Hossler and Frank Lepore among them, about the recent unpleasantness in the community. What is your opinion that can be done to repair the apparent damage that all of this has done to the overall vibe? Forget getting folks to agree on everything. That's never going to happen. I just want to see folks getting along. Or at least being cordial with each other. Well, that's where I wanted. A lot of you may see some of my tweets early on that I had with Tasty Snackies and Chaz, that are both Nick and Chaz. I consider very good friends in the NTG communities. Obviously, they have very differing opinions on the community in general, on people in general. And Chaz was basically calling out followers, and he deleted his tweet after we talked about this. And I'm not going to sling mud here everywhere, because I think that Chaz handled this very well, and I think he's a pillar of the community to show exactly how you should handle disagreement and whatnot afterwards. So just the story behind that is there was just a tweet that was like, well, I'm embarrassed that 23 of my followers follow this person, Nick. And Nick, if you might know, Nick is probably my kind of my YouTube BFF. That's like, I hit it off with Nick very early, Tasty Snackies. It's just someone that I really like to hang out with. And I don't agree with everything Nick says, and I know that Nick doesn't agree with everything I say. And so I just responded back to him like, what is like, dude, we can't go down this road. We can't go down this road of shaming each other for having connections with other people just because of having connections with them, because it will go full circle where everyone's going to hate everyone eventually for having connections. I'm not a huge fan of Corbin Hostler or Frank Lepore. I used to be a diehard fan of Frank Lepore when I was younger, or earlier in the days. He was the YouTuber that I wanted to most be like, because I liked his kind of goofy way of presenting games. He played rogue decks. He didn't care about making play mistakes. He obviously wasn't the best player, and he just liked to have fun back and forth with his community. And so that was the person I looked up to. Frank has been very outspoken lately, and of course I can't agree with everything he said. I think he's been very disrespectful to some people that I hold friendly with, but I have no problems with Frank. It's his business is his business. Same thing with Corbin Hostler, which that's, again, if we want to drag people in, I think that Magic Man Sam is one of my absolute favorite people in the MTG community, and he's very good friends with Corbin Hostler. And so see what would happen if we're all going to start damning each other for our connections. No one's going to have any friends left. So what, am I supposed to like go after Sam now because he's friends with Corbin Hostler? Or am I supposed to like tell him to make a decision? You can't be friends with this person if you're going to continue friends with me. Hell no. That's not what I'm going to do. We're all going to go full circle in this nonsense. And I expect the same courtesy out of everyone. I am friends with Jeremy. I am friends with Nick. I am friends with, who else do people consider to be horrible members of the Travis Wu? I'm very good friends with Travis Wu. These are people that I appreciate, that I've made really good sort of bonds with, and I'm not responsible for what they say. They are not responsible for what I say. I'm not going to condone, nor am I going to condemn them for what they say or what they do. And that's the same courtesy that I expect from everyone. So anywho, there is that. I hope that I answered that. So what do we do to heal from this? We just have to accept that. We have to accept that everyone has a dissenting point of view. I am back to my video. I'm still in Richfield, Utah for a reason. I love this place. I love this community. And yes, it's 95% Mormon. And yes, there's some hard feelings when people leave the church. But it's come to a point where I have friends of various different faiths and political affiliations and whatnot, and we get along just dandy. A lot of my friends are huge Trump supporters. A lot of my friends were huge Bernie Sanders supporters. I'm a centrist, so this election cycle and last election cycle and this election cycle before that, I didn't feel represented from any of the candidates. And so it's been, of course, if you go in my personal Facebook or whatnot, you can probably find some pretty heated stuff I've said about, both political parties, both candidates, and whatnot. So, political opinions are that. I don't think we should crucify each other over them. So, I wouldn't say that none of my friends support Hillary. I have a lot of friends that still live in the Pennsylvania area, people I met on my mission. There's a particular girl on Facebook that I respect. I met her through an ENFP group, and I respect the hell out of this girl. She's an awesome, amazing person. We both helped each other out through a very difficult time. She was going through a horrible relationship. I was going through a horrible relationship. We reached out to each other and just were kind of like internet friends, of support system of making sense of just and we made fun of each other for picking horrible relationship partners. So I know that she was huge on the Hillary train, and there's no way, no how I'm going to damn her for that. So anyway, there we go with that. Let's go on to the next question. This is also from Adrian. 2 Adrians in a row. That's biased. I just did this in chronological order when I got the questions, by the way. Question about brewing. Adrian, I'm going to give you an entire video on brewing, because I know this is going to get into non-brewing stuff, so I'm going to give you an entire video on this. But there are some cards that simply beg to be brewed around, Marionette Master, Solemnity, etc. That's the easy part. It's how you decide on the other 71 cards that makes things interesting. There's a method somehow, right? What's yours? All right, so first of all, mine is just trial by error. That's the best way to do it. That's why I'll never be profitable on MTGO. That is why I have to speculate on MTGO. There is no way around me not being market savvy on MTGO. Who's the guy that said they hate hearing Hellrider and Stony Silence in every video? Well, we're going to talk about Hellrider and Stony Silence again because those things fund my Magic career. Being able to see those trends before people has allowed me to continue to stay as a rogue deck builder because trial by error costs so much money. And the main reason it is you cannot go in the just for fun queues or the getting serious or tournament practice queues and get a good representation of what you're actually going to be facing in the actual competitive money on the line queues. Those are joke. People rage quit like crazy there. It's just not a good environment. And so you have to throw money $2 at a time to test games and just trial by error. You want every player in Magic should realize what lost me the game, what won me the game, what could have been better in this position, what card would work in this case. Was there a particular point if I would have drawn this or done this or that's where you need to start looking at the nitty gritty and there will be a lot of times I'll want to be playing fun cards and then I just have to realize they're not good and you know, bite the bullet and make changes. Trial by error is the best. Repetition. In psychological, in personality theory, it's called introverted sensing. It's being able to recall past experiences and then apply it to the future. So definitely flex that introverted sensing muscle, and that will definitely help you with the brewer. So, all right. Thanks for Young Elder Dragon. Thanks for stopping in for at least short. Now we've answered 3 questions in 20 minutes, over 20 minutes or whatever. On to the next one. We'll try to go through this quicker. What are your thoughts on repacks? Are they untrustworthy like that guy, Bad Boy MTG? Just can't make videos even though he never faked anything, or a stoner like Kevin at Darium's could do them short term but not long term. All right, so I generally hate repacks. And then people are like, how can you hate repacks but sell them at your store? Our repacks are draft repacks. There is a huge difference between that. We use them to draft, or if people want to take them home and draft with their friends. We are so transparent about our repacks. When someone tries to buy them, we're like, just so you know, you're not going to get anything of value out of there. These are meant for enjoyment to draft. If you're buying them for a collection, you should not do that. You're going to get 3 uncommons, a rare that's not worth anything, and a bunch of commons. Everything's been picked through on a repacks. There is no value in them. You will not find anything like a Nature's Claim in the common slots because we picked them out. They are a way for us to, you know, if people just want a lot of cards and want a fun experience to draft, they can draft. So people that try to do these value repacks, no, I hate them. I think they're stupid. Putting a Black Lotus in a repack is absolutely disingenuous. I don't think that exists. I do not like them at all. I don't like packs for that matter. The lotteries are something that I've just never been interested in. I think you should buy singles, not packs. If you're going to buy packs, draft them, play sealed. That's what they're there for. Let all the other people that want to fish for the expeditions and whatnot pay the burden of the singles market, and then just pick up the singles you want. Otherwise, sealed and draft. That's the only reason for them. Hope that's concise enough answer there. My current metagame is filled with energy decks. I'm a huge whale in MTG and have 4 of every card. What deck would you run to beat those decks? You need to go over the top of energy or underneath energy. And people do it in various different ways. The problem what makes energy so good is it doesn't have any terrible matchups. It just has a good game plan, and it is the good stuff deck of the format at the moment. And regardless, I've heard so many people, you name it, people are like, oh, it's got a good energy matchup. Oh, it's got a good energy matchup. Oh, people said that about Oketcher's Monument. People said that about Approach the Second Sons. People said that about Godpharaoh's Gift. I say that about my Marionette Master deck. People say that about Ramming Up Red. So if every deck is so good against energy, how come energy is still the #1 deck? Because it's the safe choice. It's the Abzan or the Jund of the format. A lot of times it's where energy really shines is the bad versus bad and okay versus okay draws. I think that every deck currently that has really good or good versus good draws can beat energy. Where energy wins is when everyone gets those 2 landers or those, oh man, I'm full of these kind of janky creatures with no real game plan in sight. Energy is the best deck of drawing out of bad positions. It has those cards that are just pure value. And if you want to be playing a deck where you feel safe to play, you're going to be playing energy. it is the Jund, it is the Abzan of the format. It's the Siege Rhino of the format back during that standard. How do I feel about standard in general? It's annoying the energy is so pushed, but it's very beatable, and I think that standard still has some very enjoyable matchups back and forth. So I don't know if a ban is there. I would like to see Attune with Aether ban, just because I don't think that it would kill energy. It'd nerf them down. Ban Attune with Aether, unban Aetherix Marvel at this point. I don't think there's anything right now with Aetherix Marvel can actually abuse that's worthwhile. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe approach decks would want it. But without Attune with Aether, I think that the Aetherix Marvel would be a lot worse of a deck. Whew. Okay. There's that one out of the way. Hey, these are some good questions here for non-drama. I'm sure the rest of them, spoiler, are very drama-filled here. How do you feel about Wizards Magic articles being partially replaced by community videos on the official Magic website? They're lazy. I think that says everything, and they're incapable of producing good content themselves. Everyone knows my beef with Wizards. It is a company that is run on nepotism. They give job opportunities that people that don't necessarily deserve them, but as friends. And I think that's what's caused this echo chamber. I've been very critical about what I like to call like the Seattle elite, where I think that Wizards uses their platform to impress their peers more than they do to create a good game. And so I think that's a lot of this, what they call, again, buzzwords. I hate buzzwords, but this whole social justice movement. I think that, Wizards is definitely not immune, but it seems they've also embraced their geographical location, have used it more to impress other people, impress their friends. And it's just sad because I'm in Utah. That's going to say a lot about me right there. A lot of people I've talked to in Texas, of course, do not adhere to that sort of ideology. This is kind of what happened in the election, where people forgot about Midland America and not only that, but turn their noses up to it. And I don't think that you should forget your demographic that way. If you want a good laugh, go look at Unstable and Unglued, or not Unstable, Unglued and Unhinged. Those cards they could not produce them this day and age. I want to do a funny video of just showing a bunch of them and said, "Whoa, Wizards! I think you have to release an apology about this card. I think you have to release an apology about this card. I think because it just shows, how the cultural shift has changed. That now that they've really just entrenched themselves in that culture rather than in their game. So again, I'm sure people will give me some backlash here, but that's my personal opinion about it. Feel free to disagree. Feel free to debate. That's just how I feel about Wizards in general. The nepotism thing, just go read their Glassdoor reviews. Just go talk to people that have worked at Wizards. So many of them have told their personal experience of being passed up by a friend of someone, or that it just mattered who you knew rather than, what you did, or they put you in the wrong. Like a guy's like, I'm a programmer, and they put me over like not R&D, but our market research. It's like, geez, I know nothing about market research. Why'd they put me here? So there needs to be some changes at Wizards, and their Glassdoor reviews are just dismal. And they've been caught trying to pad those by forcing employees to actually write. Someone exposed an email forcing people to go write a Glassdoor review. The company is, it's just, people say that morally bankrupt as a term. I wouldn't disagree there too much with how Wizards, and that's why I'll never be I'll never work for Wizards. They'll never. Every time I got a spotlight by Wizards, it was actually because it was through Gathering Magic, not through my. I don't think they ever spotlighted Rogue Deckbuilder at all. It was always spotlighting Gathering Magic, spotlighting me. So that just shows you something there. All right, so I agree with Adrian. I don't believe that they're mustache twirling villains either. Everyone has a stance point for a reason. I'm sure that's where like Daniel and Jimmy Wong come from, and Wedge and Brian. I don't think they come from a place of malice. They come from a place of genuine desire to change the world. But it's something that whether or not, I'm going to still disagree with that, whether or not their intentions are there. But we shouldn't, ad hominems are not the right way to go. Saying someone is a certain way because of their ideology, I think is just trying to kind of sideline the discussion, trying to excuse away or yeah, so that's where I would disagree a lot with how Jeremy handles a lot of his responses back and forth. Now we'll talk about Jeremy going on later in the segment here, because there's a lot to be said about how this all came to fruition. I don't know if that's the best expression, but how I think that the entire community is very responsible for creating this whole even creating his persona. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. All right. We already did thoughts about repacks. Are we getting skipped around here? All right. How did you get rid of your social anxiety? I've suffered from anxiety all of my life. I couldn't even go over to friends' homes because of anxiety, I would call it. Homesickness. Would love to know what you did. Keep up the great work. Okay. This is going to be another long one. The Kevin you see today, the kind of flamboyant, the kind of what's the best way to describe me? Manic? Is that not? I wouldn't say narcissistic. I hate that word, because narcissistic is actually a fake facade. People that are the problem with narcissists is they're never narcissistic enough. Then that's why it's considered a disorder to have narcissism. I wouldn't call myself arrogant either. Hedonistic? Can we say that? Can we? I'm definitely flamboyant. So, and that was not me. So let me give you a bit of background. A lot of this stems from my dad. My dad hates embarrassment. And when I say hates embarrassment, he does everything to avoid embarrassment. And every one of us kids that grew up under my family, and my mom's a perfectionist. So you can also see how the culminating two of your parents' personalities can come together. My mom also likes to, she likes to use, I wouldn't call it shame, but she raised us boys especially to don't disappoint your father, and don't, like, you love your mother, so don't do anything that would hurt your mother. Like, so that's the way to show my mom love, is to definitely respect her, is to definitely like, and praise her. She wants to be told her dinner is tasty. She wants to be said, oh, thanks mom for folding my clothes or washing my clothes, or, and of course we weren't the best at doing that as boys growing up. And so she would pick at us and be like, ooh, she'd be like, you don't appreciate me as your mother. And then of course that would, kind of shame us, boy, like, well, we do, type stuff. And then my dad, he absolutely avoids social embarrassment with a passion. And it kind of comes from, he was the firstborn male out of his family. And I think that he was given some I think his parents, my grandfather was a very busy accountant. And I think that my brother, or my dad, was unfairly put into the role of having to be co-parent with his mom with the rest of the kids. And so it was his role to never bring shame upon the family and be the perfect child. And he is definitely to this day still that. He has had a plan for his life day one. Like, he knew he was going to become a doctor when he was 4 years old, and he started working towards that when he was a little kid. And so everything in his life is very calculated, and I respect my dad so much. It was growing up with him, there was a lot of tension, because our personality types could not be any different. I am the exact opposite. I have no plan. I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow, let alone for the major outlook of my life. And so, but I did pick up a lot of my dad's like fear of social embarrassment and fear of anything being less than perfect. And so as a kid, I created a lot of masks and a lot of facades, is what we like to call it. One of the things in my high school is I liked hockey. I really loved ice hockey. And the whole reason I loved ice hockey is I was trying to impress a friend of mine who also liked ice hockey. And so I got into ice hockey and tried to claim I was this big fan. And in reality, the whole reason was just to try to fit in and try to impress other people. And the same thing could be said about punk rock music. To this day, I don't even think I really like punk. But my childhood, I was a huge punk rocker. Went to a bunch of the shows, Chloe, get out of there. Sorry about that. She's knocking my microphone over, you punk. So anyway, I went to all the shows. What is that, Zach? What was the show in the summer?
Big Ass Show.
No, not Big Ass Show. That was the local thing. The Warp Tour. Always went to every Warp Tour. All of it. That was my childhood, because I wanted to fit in with my kind of those type of people. And then later on in life, I had to reevaluate. That was the best thing about leaving the church, is I had to reevaluate exactly what I liked, not what I liked because other people liked, what I liked. And so I kind of reinvented myself growing up. And a lot of this, I'll come back to the social anxiety, because a lot of the things that I did were also very calculated to try to fit in and impress people. And also when I was younger, like, I didn't have a meaningful relationship until I would say I was 16 or 17, because I was so afraid of rejection that I know that I would push people away before they could push me away. And that actually set me up for my borderline personality disorder relationship, because when I saw my ex doing that to people, I identified with her bad behaviors. I was like, that used to be me. I can help her. But anyway, that's a whole nother mess for another day. I could go on for hours and hours and hours about that subject. But so I remember my first girlfriend, I pushed her away big time, because I was so afraid of her rejecting me that I rejected her before she could reject me. And all that stemmed from just the social anxiety of being rejected. Same thing with other friends. I'd push them away. I tried so hard to be a badass. You can't mess with me. I'm a short guy. I'm 5'8" on a good day if I tippy toe. So bullying early on in my life was something I had to deal with. And I learned pretty quick that if I was a hard ass, if I was a badass, people would not mess with me. But a lot of this wasn't genuinely me. Again, I am an ENFP. Just go look up an ENFP and see how we like to be bubbly, and we like to we're people. We're people. We're people pleasers. We like to be the life of the party, or just we like those interpersonal relationships. And my entire childhood was me completely pushing people away. And then it also transcended into a huge fear of social situations. And the big turning point for me is I had friends. I lived in Orem, and I had friends that wanted to meet them at the Provo Town Center, which is a city away. Provo and Orem are border on each other, but it's not walking distance whatsoever. They're, especially the Provo Town Center, from where I lived, was definitely not walking distance. So I looked up the bus schedules, and I decided I was just going to take a bus down and meet my friends. And so I went to the bus stop, and the bus pulled up, and I froze because I didn't know, do I pay when I got on or do I pay when I got off? And I didn't want to look like an idiot in front of all those people. And so that kept me from getting on that bus. And instead of getting on that bus and just dealing with hey, pay your fee, or whatever, I had to make up elaborate excuses to my friends about why I ditched out on going to hang out with them. And that was my breaking point, that I knew I needed to get help. So specifically back to your question, it's a psychological theory called flooding. And I'll talk about this in an entire video sometime. Flooding is like, if you're afraid of rats, people put you in a cage full of rats, and they're like, see, it's not that bad. You know, they try to expose you to what you're afraid of. And so what I started to do is I started to surround myself with people who actively embarrassed me. So my friend DJ, he was a joker. He would put me in the stupidest situations where I would get embarrassed. I'd go out of my way to find embarrassing situations. Do not go look at my Facebook page. You'll see some very embarrassing stuff that I've put out for people. And then that's also where I met a dude on my mission, this old crazy guy that used to call the missionaries and leave them vulgar comments. And one day we decided we were going to go meet him, just because the phone calls were hilarious. And you get so bored as a missionary, you try to eke your way out of work no matter what. And so we used to hang out. My other companion too was just done with his mission, and so we used to hang out at this guy's house. And he was just talk about a guy that was just full of embarrassment. And it just, if he could be happy, why did I have to fear embarrassment? So yeah. Anyway, that's kind of the whole. This will have an entire video over at my second channel. I know I'll have some questions about when you're starting that second channel. When I get time, good God, I need to sit down and just grind it out. So, yeah, that's. I'll talk about this before. I'm a totally different person and also your 30s are a lot easier than your 20s. That's something I will say there. I always rejected that mindset when I was younger. Oh, I'm 20. I'm experienced. These 40-year-olds and 30-year-olds telling me that I'll, age, grow up. Yeah, right. I have it all figured out. Trust me, when you're in your 30s, it's a whole different ball game as a person. So anyway, let's get on to the next question. How have you ever heard of Penny Dreadful? I would love to watch and I would love to watch how and what you could concoct. There is a genuine sense of liberty discovery for brewers' minds and active leagues to compete in. As a new constructed player myself, I'm interested to hear you talk on how you would approach a big format like this, be it Penny Dreadful or another. What is it would your brewing methodology be? If this isn't too wide to ask. So here's the thing. I'm a competitor, so it's going to be very hard to get me into formats that don't have those real competitive things like Pro Tours, Grand Prix. I've looked at Penny Dreadful. It's something that's kind of weird because it pleases itself, because if anything ever becomes in the meta, the theory is the price will go up and therefore you can't use it. So it's an interesting concept, but I think that me as a person, I gravitate to those really competitive stuff. And so that's why I stick with standard, modern. I do play a lot of Commander, but it's just because the rest of it's just a very pertinent experience at my local game store. It's something that everyone loves here. And so I'll, of course, compete or play in that. I would love to do Penny Dreadful if I had more time to explore other formats and stuff like that. I have nothing against it. You should always play Magic the way that you want to play. And definitely, you will never hear me say anything negative about those type of fringe formats. So play to your heart's content. I just don't know if I'll ever have time to really look into these type of formats. And again, if we have enough people that want to, possibly. I've given up on Frontier as well, but Frontier was just I just couldn't really get good gameplay. It died at our store. People moved back over to Modern. Modern's a format I just don't want to support. I've talked about it before in many videos. I don't find it fulfilling. I don't find it fun. I think that it's plagued with either you're playing attrition or you're playing combo. And I don't like either of those styles. I actually like playing against attrition decks, but I don't like combo. And that's just, it is what it is. That's just me personally. Play Modern. You like Modern? Play Modern. I just do not like the format. All right, we will go to this one. Have you ever made a video regarding Sports and More as an LGS owner? Should the store be investigated for depressing prices? I know as American you are allowed to sell stuff or whatever. I think there's worse offenders than Sports and More. I know Jeremy did a video on it. I think Alpha Investment said I thought he said he was going to do a video on this. I might have missed it. I think they're playing the long game. I think they're trying to drive out all competition so that they can be the only competition when they've driven out all the competition. That's part of capitalism. And if you know a lot about me, I'm a huge libertarian. I'm a huge believer in capitalism, and the system is not perfect, but it's fair because everyone is kind of on an even playing field as far as the system works. You can disagree with me on that. I'm sure that we'll actually agree on a lot of stuff. A lot of my complaints about capitalism is it leads to corporatism. And I think that actually governments and regulations are actually a response to capitalism working the way as intended. And so when people try to argue that's not capital, that's part of capitalism. When we have regulations and like antitrust laws and monopolies and things like that. So as a local game store, of course, I hate stores like Sports and More because I don't understand how they're making any money, and it's made it impossible for me to compete on the eBay, Amazon, TCG player market. That also cuts into my margins as a game store owner myself, because living in Richfield, Utah, everyone is very used to shopping on Amazon and eBay, and because it's easy to just get it shipped to your door. We're at a very, very small community, and so small communities are the bread and butter for eBay and Amazon. So it's tough. It is extremely tough, especially when I get ultimatums from people saying they'll buy it for me for a certain price or else. That makes it really, really tough, because then they tell people that I sold a certain product to them for cheap, and it just causes a mess of problems. But I need to do a whole video on margins someday, where a local game store already has terrible margins. Usually MSRPs are about 45% margins, which is industry low. It's terrible. I used to work for Sears. Our profit margins at Sears on appliances and things like that were huge. Phones, look at phones. Profit margins on phones are massive. So when you compare it to profit margins on the local game store, especially a lot of this stuff is bulky and hard to ship, it's already insanely low. And so when you cut into margins, it's tough to compete. For every $1 of overhead, it's going to be like $7 you have to earn just to pay for that overhead. So that's so the TLDR of Sports and More is they sell for a lot of times boxes for like $90 on eBay. A lot of us we can't wrap our minds around how they can actually make profit on $90 boxes. Free shipping, $90 boxes. Shipping is $6. A good rule of thumb is between PayPal and eBay, you're going to be paying between 10 to 11% in fees. And so you can see right there, 10%, just for the sake of the argument, off of 90 is $9 there. Another $6 for shipping. That's $75 is what they net. And usually buy directly from Wizards for, Zach, what, 76 and some change, Zach? 75.86 is what Zach says we get it directly from Wizards. And then distributors, we get it from like between 78 and 83. And there is a cap you can get from Wizards. So eventually you're going to have to start digging into the distributors. And so all of that is really, really tough to compete. You're making nothing on those boxes of that. Ross, I agree with you. I do need to do another channel for Cards and Brewing. I've always told people to go to Gathering Magic if they want to see my latest brews because it was paid content. That will either move over to my channel or go to a new sponsor. And I'll announce that later, whatever I decide. So again, I'll try to do more brews on this channel. I apologize. I have a lot going on, and that's a terrible excuse, but that's going to be my excuse for now. 2018, that will be my typical New Year's resolution, is try to get more to brewing and the channel. All right, let's go on to the next one. How can I support... Okay, this was a ton of questions here, and here's some shameless self-promotion. How can I support Rogue Deckbuilder? Do you have an online store? Do you sell sealed product? What merchandise do you offer? How can you support? Super Chat, Patreon, just donations in general, buying a playmat. I still offer playmats at my roguedeckbuilder.com/store. We do have an online store, but it's in shambles right now. We need to revamp it. We need to get back to offering more things. I've looked at sleeves. It's thousands of dollars you have to invest in for sleeves. I've looked at t-shirts. Eventually we're gonna get there. I want to hire on a person eventually that can just manage this entire thing, because I am a local game store owner. That's a lot of time that goes into here. I can't just put everything on Zach. You can ask Zach. He's already overwhelmed with all my demands. And big shout out for him, because he's definitely I'm the lazy store owner. He's definitely the one that is just the bread and butter of this store. Do we have an online store? Yes. Rogue Deckbuilder /store. We also have a Gone Rogue Games. It's redirecting to a TCG Player store. We both don't know how we feel about it, because TCG Player cuts huge into their fees. It's awful. Appreciate the donation, Mythic. Appreciate it, buddy. The same thing offer goes to Mythic MTG too. If you do produce content on YouTube and you are a new channel, reach out to me. I will sell you product at cost. If you just cover the sealed, or if you just cover the shipping and the PayPal fees, I will sell you the product at cost. If you have a YouTube channel, I will do that for anyone, because I know how hard it is to start a YouTube channel, how much money it goes into that. So again, did I just get a donation on the Streamlabs too? I'm not sure, because it just played a sound, and I need to set this up so it shows up. I apologize with this terrible stream. I am new to still streaming. Well, not new, just lazy getting it going. All right, so back to, do I sell sealed product? Absolutely. Anything you can get from a distributor like ACD, Alliance, GTS, and we actually use Southern Hobby as our main distributor, and ACD is our secondary distributor. So you can go to Southern Hobby or ACD, and it's like acdd.com or southernhobbies.com, and look at all of the products that they have available. We can get anything there. So keep in mind, the prices you see will not be the prices I get them for. A good rule of thumb is to divide it by 55%, and that's how much I pay for it. I get it about 55% of what you can get it as. So if you board games, sleeves, card games, Magic products, if you're outside the United States, I do have to slit the product open. I don't even have to physically go through it. I just have to slit the product so it's not sealed anymore, and then I can ship it to you. So for example, even like from the vault formats, all I have to do is just open it. It just can't be physically sealed together anymore. All of the components inside need to be unwrapped. other than that, merchandise we offer, we're still looking about jerseys. I apologize, Adrian. I'm trying to get you a jersey and your profile up on our website. I hate web design. I'm not the guy for it. I'm trying to get someone involved that will manage that. Once we do, we'll start a team for all the patrons. I actually do want a legit team that if we go to Grand Prix and stuff, we can get points like that. We're looking into t-shirts and other stuff too. If you have anything that you specifically want, let me know. I do want to have a big kind of Patreon spiel here, because I changed all the Patreon tiers. If you want cheap product, come to my Patreon. I'm going to take a book out of Rudy's, or a chapter out of Rudy's book, and try to offer people sealed product at cost if they sign up for particular Patreon levels. And we do a fun little pack crack opening that's everyone above $4 has a pack cracked and they're honored, and I'll ship it off to you if you want. A few other things you might be interested in. I don't want my Patreon to be this big money generating thing. I want to give back. I want it to be a fun experience, not just like, here, give me money, because I'm not in a position where I am in dire straits for your money. I know how hard a lot of you work for your money, and I'm not going to be that guy. Okay. I hate the word privileged, but if there is someone who is a very, very, person that's in a very easy spot in life, it's me. My parents made some very good decisions in life, and it's the whole position I'm in right now is I have an entire house that I'm just the glorified butler or groundskeeper, whatever you want to call it, because my parents moved and they don't want to sell their house because they plan on retiring in Richfield. There's transparency. That's the whole reason I live in Richfield, is that opportunity came up. Also, I was in a very, very bad place when I was in Salt Lake, and my dad finally called me up and said, we're sick of seeing you this way. We're sick of how unhealthy you are. You're moving back. And they basically came and not kidnapped me, but moved me home and said, all right, you are recovering. You are getting back in a good mental frame. A little bit of story behind that. I gave up on life after Koopa Troopa died. My dog got cancer, and it was my divorce dog and died. I just said, screw life. I'm done. I was literally rotting in Salt Lake. And that's what's good about having a good safety net, is your family can come pick you up when you're in a terrible place. And like, that's a huge shout out to my family for, what they did. And it's kind of embarrassing being in your 30s to have your parents pick you up. But, it was that, or just keep rotting, keep going through dead end jobs. And I was unhappy. I was working as a forklift operator. I hated life. It just felt like I worked a swing shift. I didn't have any social life. It was my ex-girlfriend had run away a ton of my friends and support system, and it just wasn't a good situation. So then when my dad decided to take a job in St. George, they didn't want to sell their house, and they offered it to me here. Just keep the house up, keep it up, and no rent there. My car's paid off. So I have an internet bill and a cell phone bill, and that's it. So it's very easy for me to stay afloat. And, I apologize for getting emotional, but, I know that a lot of people aren't in the same, they don't have the same safety nets and stuff like that. But I'm a huge fan of expanding your influence, of helping people around you, because that's inevitably the way to improve society. I don't know where I'd be without them, because the position I was in was awful. It was, I'm not joking. I did not want to live. I'd given up after that dog died. It might sound stupid, but I just felt like the entire freaking world was against me, and nothing could go right. I put my heart and soul. I put $30,000 into a failed relationship that took me forever to pay down that debt. Just trying to get her healthy. And then to have her eventually to spit in my face and tell me I'm a worthless human being for all that I put myself through for that relationship. And then to try to find silver lining. I tried to find silver lining in my mission. I tried to find silver lining in, failed relationships and failed jobs, saying, okay, if I wouldn't have met this person or done this thing. And my last straw was my dog. It was Koopa. He was everything. We did everything together. People joked that he was my spouse because I would not go anywhere without Koopa. And when he got cancer and died, I was done. He was only 6 years old. He had half his life ahead of him. and I was done. I was just didn't want to live. So anyway, we're out of this stupid topic here. All right, so this is from D Manny, very good friend of mine. Amino apps. Go check out Amino apps if you use a smartphone, use Amino apps. They're a great community. Rogue Deckbuilder Gus asked a question. I know you used to say you like Pauper. Was wondering if you still do. Sort of. Pauper, it just doesn't have the depth that I would want from a format. There's always like uncommons that I absolutely would want to brew with. That's why I actually think the Penny Dreadful is a little more of an interesting format than Pauper is, because Pauper is just too restrictive. When they make cards, they make them based upon their rarity level. And commons, uncommons, rares have a particular power level, and unfortunately, Pauper is always going to be defined by a certain playstyle, just based upon the fact that these type of creatures, these type of spells, exist in the common slot for a reason. And a lot of the more busted stuff is before they were adhering to that have just been reprinted in maybe master sets or older sets. And I think that's a little bit disingenuous to the format, because it's hard to bring more stuff in, like a different aspect to Pauper. I respect the format, play it to your heart's content. It's there you go. All right, so on to the next one. This comes from Nick. What do you think of the current monopoly of Channel Fireball GPs, and do you think that Channel Fireball has done well or worse since that announcement? I actually, can I have a very contentious point of view here? I think Star City Games ran the best GPs that I've ever been to. So that's just my personal experience. Channel Fireball they're fine. I think they do a better job than most, and it does make me very concerned though. Why do vendors control them anyway? Why doesn't Wizards control Grand Prix? That's just so silly to me that Wizards puts the burden on, and there's got to be some sort of tax reason, or like there's got to be a very, very good monetary reason to do so. I know they pay a lot. You pay an insane amount of money to be the key vendor there, and then all the other vendors pay an insane amount of. There is so much money in Grand Prix. When I used to travel with Gathering Magic, they used to bring hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy, and it was expensive to rent that little tiny, you get like 2 tables worth of space. It is insanely expensive. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars per day to rent those spaces. And then they bring hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy cards. Remember, Grand Prix are not selling sprees, they're buying sprees. It allows them to get cheap cards to then sell. So it's going to be very, very awkward. I don't like monopolies. I think that they should always give it out to the highest bidder. So I think that, yes, Wizards should reevaluate their stance, but maybe the money was just too good. Maybe Channel Fireball offered them just a paycheck, a check that was just too damn good. And you can't blame them for that. We see other things like the NFL has official sponsors. They give all the Bulls for the college football have official Bull sponsors, things like that, and they get it every year. Arenas, like venues. What is our arena now in Utah called? I don't even know what it is now. I think it's Vivint is who owns the Utah Jazz and the arena there. So, or at least the arena. Those type of stuff. That's just the nature of the game. So, yep. Alrighty, we'll try to blast through these last ones. Master Decoy, how does Sprinkle rate on a scale of 1 to 10? Find the magic for bad posts that got Travis in hot water and tell us your pick order. Do you think EDH needs to be more proactive with bannings? Okay, we're not going to go down this road. I'm a type of person that finds beauty in a lot of things that people won't consider beautiful. So that's what I'll say that there. This is a very, very personal opinion and stuff like that has no business being aired out for the mass community. So I hope you can appreciate that, Master Decoy. Do I condemn Magic for bad? Absolutely not. The deck was created for the sole purpose of having a group for people to be as bad as possible. That is some people's humor. That's Daniel Tosh. That's George Carlin, right? Or Carlisle? That's George Carlisle. That's Jim Jeffries. That's a lot of people that I used to I really actually do like, because remember, I grew up in a very puritanical society. I was told as a Mormon I couldn't talk about like sexual shaming and just a bunch of things. That the Mormon Church was notorious for being very puritanical, even worse to women. than they are to men with, like, you have to be morally clean. And I used to get in so much trouble for having a banterous and kind of irreverent type of humor. And, you know, we're talking about, like, nothing is sacred when it comes to jokes. And so I can appreciate that they actually kept that group was private. In fact, they tried to get rid of people that would take the stuff. If you were caught sharing stuff outside the group, out of Magic for Bad, they were supposed to ban you from Magic for Bad. Now, I was added to the group, and we memed on Desolator Magic for a little bit there, and then I didn't participate beyond that particular it was a post because Desolator Magic made a video about me, and that's the only thing that I participated in was that little post I was tagged in, then I was added to, and then we memed a little bit on Desolator. Desolator's just, you know, we have a running kind of, I don't hate Desolator. I disagree with a lot of stuff he says, and the way he says it, his what's the word I'm looking for now? I can't think. His performance is the way that he addresses his videos. A lot of times I'm like, oh boy. But I like the guy as a person. I know we give flack back and forth, and I hope that he understands that. It's just, I don't want him out of the community. I don't want anyone out of the community for that matter. And I hope he doesn't take anything personal when we meme on him, and he's free to meme on me back. Everyone is as well. You can be as inflammatory as you want against me. Do your worst, people. Do you think EDH needs to be proactive with bannings? Do you think Mero is hampering MTG at this point? Wow, you have a lot of questions. EDH more proactive with bannings? Well, yes or no. Either less proactive or more. You can't pick and choose what your play group does that you don't prefer. There are so many cards that I think are fine, and there's also a ton of cards I think need to go. So they need to be consistent. Do you think Mero is hampering MTG at this point? Okay, this needs an entire video by itself with Mero. We all know well, maybe you don't know how I feel about him. Who is the hottest Planeswalker? If you could design an ideal legendary... Zach says Jace is, so we'll go with Jace. How about I tell you my favorite Planeswalker? Garruk, hands down. Flip Garruk, my favorite Planeswalker ever. If you could design an ideal legendary creature for your EDH general, what would you do? How about I give that some time and get back to you, Master Decoy? How about I do one? I like Teysa. I like Savra. I think my ideal EDH generals are generals that can have a little bit of combo element, but they can also control what your opponents are doing. So Savra and Teysa are probably Noth, Teysa, Savra. Who else has that sort of component? Nahab is really fun. Theta Adele. I don't like one-trick pony commanders. I like commanders that have a lot of depth. Do you think combo is an essential part of rock, paper, scissors dynamic? Absolutely, but it needs to be held in check. And in Modern, at this point, it is not held in check. They need more specific cards I would like to see go to stop combos from going off on turn 3. Mid-range a sufficient replacement? The more ways you can play Magic, the better. Okay, back to Mero. I think that Mark Rosewater is it's funny because he used to write for Roseanne, a very, very irreverent comedy show. Go back to watching Roseanne, and they pushed a lot of buttons, they pushed the envelope very, very far. And Mero was a part of that. And same thing with Unglued and Unhinged. Those were a comedy that I think is very acceptable. And Mero, I think, has kind of changed his position. I think it's just because that's what happens when you surround yourself with puritanical people. You become a Puritan. And I wish he would go back. Also, I think that Mero often... and maybe this is wrong for me to say because he's a person. He can do whatever he wants to, like Blogatog. But I think he unfairly wants to represent the entire Wizards brand through his opinions. Or maybe we're giving him that much credit. And I think he's irresponsible sometimes with what he says. And I also don't like him as a designer. Well, to be honest, that's Infect, Energy, a lot of the cards that I personally do not, I don't like some of the mechanics, or some of the mechanics that he toned down, like Cypher, where I think needed to be a little bit bigger, or he stopped like other, like Sam Stoddard especially. I'm a huge Sam Stoddard fan of what he creates. I think Mero was a lot behind some of the bad decisions. So I don't know. I've been calling for new blood there, but I also think Mero played a pivotal role in Magic's success, and we all have to give him credit for that. Being able to have personality theory in design when you had, you know, Timmy, Johnny, Spike. Those are definitely going back to like Jungian, Carl Jung theory with how personalities actually function as how creative minds work, how those type of things work. So yeah, huge shout out to Merrill for that. So I love him for that, but I shake my head at other things, which is exactly how you should criticize a person. There should be things you don't agree with that I do, and things that you agree with what I do. But you should see people as a collection of everything they've done as a whole, not as a black and white. They did this or that, so that damns them for their entire perspective or how you feel about someone. Whew. Any advice on being self-employed or how to build a foundation for it? No, I'm terrible with money. I'm terrible with if you want success, I'm not a person you should live your life after. I've made a ton of mistakes throughout my life. So I am not a good money manager person. So I'm trying my best. I'm trying to pick myself up, and I created a huge rut for myself in my 20s with poor decisions. Like I said, I was in over $30,000 of debt when my relationship finally capsized. Mainly it was because it's very, very tough on one person's income to support two adults, especially one that had massive mental health problems. So we're talking about ER visits. We're talking about therapy sessions. We're talking about being the sole breadwinner for 3 years for my well-being and someone else's well-being. Our rent was very, very high. I should have got out of it faster than I did, but we were relying on two people's incomes to pay, and I went into a lot of debt for it. So I'm still to this day reeling from that, but I have no one to blame for myself for that. So anyway, we'll move on from that. When are you going to make a Gone Rogue? When are you going to make more Gone Rogue videos? Where'd Zach go? That's his job. Zach has a better camera than I think he's out smoking. I enjoy your shop, and what it does in the background is interesting, even if you just walk back and forth talking to people. Enjoyable to watch. I love seeing the dogs as well. He's out walking the dogs. Oh, no, there's a scout right here. Hey, bud. No, he's asleep. Yeah, I love doing the Gone Rogers. I'm going to try to get a Nikon, like a DSLR or a wannabe DSLR camera, because my cell phone's awful for doing it. So Zach's cell phone's okay, but I want to get a dedicated camera for it. I also am going to be starting a fishing channel where I will need a better camera. So be looking forward to that. When we get better stuff, we'll definitely do it. I need some audio stuff too, but I also enjoy making them. I love my community here. I love them. Can I show this on camera? I'm going to do a whole video about this. I wanted to make out a snarky tweet. Can you see that? Everyone knows my humor. One of my, where's the other one here? And this is going to get demonetized for this. My, patron here, one of my customers here, who we notoriously go back and forth with. He gave those to us for a Christmas gift because, in his words, quote, Zach is a, here we go, so I don't say it, and I am a massive dick. And so he gave me that because I go back. I always make fun of Josh. So shout out to Josh for the gift. It, of course, made me laugh. Because I give it to everyone knows around the store that I am a dick. I am very, very, that people need to understand my humor before they can really tolerate me, because I will be a jerk to you I'm not being a jerk. I'm playing a role. I'm playing the bad guy. And it's funny because I had a kid come to me and just like apologize. He's like, you're mad at me. I know you're mad at me. Like, dude, everything I say needs to be taken with a grain of salt. When in doubt, side on the side that I'm just joking, because he thought I was really mad at him for something, and I was just joking with him. Especially the group too. I always like joke with him, like, I don't feel included. I'm reporting you to Wizards because you guys have bullied me out of the group. Because they won't let me play on Mondays, because Mondays there's their day that they play as a group without the really what they consider toxic decks. And they don't like my decks because I am a brewer, so of course I'm going to find some pretty crazy stuff to do that can end the game quickly, and they want these long, drawn-out games. And whenever I play, so I end up eventually doing some sort of shenanigans. And so for an entire week, I'm like, you guys are bullying me. You guys I'm reporting all of you to Wizards because you're not being inclusive. You're making me feel like I'm not welcome in my own shop. And one of them like really thought I was being serious. And I just say stuff for the hell of it. My swimmers, it took them a long time to realize that, because one of the things with my swimmers is like, how'd I do, coach? And I'm like, awful. And it was just because I would be joking around with them, because, or especially when they would ask like stupid things, like not stupid, but like, do you like me? I'm like, no, I can't stand you, like type stuff. And it was just because you throw back their kind of question back at them. And then of course I would explain myself. And then it just became like a running joke that I was just this very negative person and whatnot. So anyway, there is that. Did I answer this okay? All right. Yeah, we want to do more Gone Roguers so you can see more of my personality in action. Another one from Matt. Do you have any plans for new or different video series on this channel for MTGO now that you've truly gone rogue? Not really. I need to get back to having Tyler on more. Tyler Rowney does a lot of the articles. I want to give him a spotlight here. I told him he can come use this computer, but I do want to start showcasing other brewers. I know Tasty Snackies wants to do a popper video series for me. More than welcome. I'll publish it on my channel. For all those you want to get some more gameplay. So well, I'll look into what makes sense. For example, rogue decks or brews based on viewer submitted cards. Okay, I want to get back to that. We used to do competitions. I am overwhelmed. I am so overwhelmed. I need some more people that want to take this full on. That's why I've reached out to people that wanted to manage the website, kind of be a social media manager types for those sort of questions. And I want to bring back the Rogue Deck of the Month, or what do we call the Rogue competition? Rogue Master Brewer. I want to bring that back. And I'm just overwhelmed. And I if people want to take that helm, more than welcome. I wish I would have started my YouTube channel, not as a personal channel, but as like a business, because you can actually add people to it. But I can't do it with my YouTube channel right now. It's locked, those sort of features. All right, so how about creating decks around underutilized synergies or combos? Yes, I want to get back to the rogue challenge me to do cards as well. I do have a Patreon tier that apologies to some people that have signed up for that in the past, and I wasn't able to deliver on certain months when I got very, very busy. But you can sign up for a Patreon tier and tell me to brew around a card, and I will do it. So there's that option for you. Or maybe analyzing the top net decks in the meta and brewing rogue decks to combat them. I try to do that in my deck tech series when I do them. Matt has nothing against net decking. Just thought it'd be a cool idea. I have nothing against net decking either. I think it's a pivotal part of the game. I love to create content and really enjoy watching MTGO gameplay online, as it's much easier to follow than live gameplay. Specifically, I like modern as a format so diverse right now. And yeah, okay. Yep. Appreciate your compliments. I will try to do more content. Created that. One last question for Matt. Is it hard to make your hobby your source of income? Oh yes, do not. Absolutely never, ever, 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 ever make your hobby your income. You'll begin to hate it in ways that you never thought possible. Owning a local game store, while it's rewarding, is also one of the most frustrating things I have ever done. People demand a lot out of you that you're not willing to give. Sometimes I've said I feel like a bartender or a therapist, and it just gets very overwhelming to be that. And again, a lot of people are very entitled, and it just really, 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 really starts to just wear you down. Same thing with running content, being a public figure. Kiss your private life goodbye. It's gone once you become a private figure. For example, does constantly being around cards all day cause you want to do other things in your spare time? Yes. I say that sometimes the only time I'd log into MTGO was because I had to do a video. And you can tell on some of those Gathering Magic videos, my heart was not in it. It became a grind. And so I was glad that I had the Marionette Master, because that kind of got me back into brewing. Do you feel that some of the enjoyment of the hobby is lost when you need to sell cards? Yes. Does it take away some of the excitement or passion? Opening packs doesn't have the same excitement it used to have. You want to get rid of your opening packs enthusiasm? Run a store and sort cards. Oh God, I hate it. It's horrible. As a secondary question, how do you feel about WotC pumping out so much product lately? Does it seem to be affecting your business? Yes, local game stores are dead. I'm calling it right now. It's impossible now with both WotC and cards like Sports and More, like I said earlier, that want to play the end game. Obvious WotC's decision to let Walmart and Target carry iconic masks necessarily has to affect your income, as well as people fire selling this product on the internet. Does that carry across the other sets Wizards projects as well, or has it been more isolated? This last bit of Iconic Masters was terrible because a lot of local game stores, ours included, we made the only time we were able to make very good profit margins was this master set. And I don't think we ever were able to sell any of our master sets because we weren't around when Modern Masters was a thing. But Modern Masters 2, 3, Eternal Masters were all cards we were only able to sell at MSRP, not above. And so those were good, though. When you can actually make those 45% margins, those are awesome. Those are great feelings. I wish I could sell the rest of the product at the 45% margin. I guess we could get Zach to take some of these questions. He's being shy, though.
I'm putting a light switch in.
He's putting a light switch in. We'll get him back on maybe later. Or maybe we'll do a whole Q&A with Zach. How about that? Because he runs the more business end of the Gone Rogue games, and if he knows the plights, he knows the plights a lot better than I do with that whole end of it. Have you ever read books on undue influence by John Attack, Steve Hassan, etc.? I don't know who any of these people. I'll look into it. I'll get back to you, Quarty. I have not. Elaborate sometime for me. I had a huge conversation with Kyle. Go back to see my Market Monday video this week. Kyle was an incredible person I met. Very, very knows a lot about philosophy. He's actually a philosophy major. And we had a great discussion for like 3 hours. So second channel, I'll be discussing a lot more of my philosophical beliefs and things like that. Whew. I'm going to take a drink here. No, I'm not, because there's not a drink here. Chloe, beer me! I keep trying to teach Chloe how to get a drink out of the fridge, and she just won't do it. She's worthless. Have everyone seen any of those videos about dogs getting drinks out of the fridge? Worthless dog. She'll whip me if they're a leash, though. All right, okay, so I'm a big fan of your market videos. You are very level-headed and have a life outside of Magic. What do you think of the Sprinkle, Jeremy, Tolarian, Wedge situation? Why is it such a big deal in the community? Specifically, why did Gathering Magic let you go? And what do you think will be the end result of the drama? Okay, so I knew this question was coming. All right, so basically, when I made the more hostility in the Magic the Gathering community, that was my first warning from Gathering Magic. They said, please stay out of these political views. We don't think you've said anything necessarily wrong on that video, but please stay out of it. And you can tell that I did for a while, and I've commented here and there on certain things, but I wanted to keep it more, if I had any negative comments, it'd be directly at how WotC ran their game, not at specific community stuff. And then I did the Conspiracy Take the Crown episode, and that got, again, like I would say, my second warning. So to be fair, I had my 3 strikes. I absolutely had my 3 strikes with Gathering Magic. They gave me a lot of space, a lot of time, and they cautioned and warned me that this is something that is not acceptable to their brand image. Now, do I think it's a little bit hypocritical when they sponsor Cartel Aristocrats and when they sponsor Magic Mics that get very political? Yes, I think it's absolutely hypocritical. But that's their prerogative. They don't have to sponsor me. They don't have to sponsor anyone. If it goes within their brand image, that's their call. And that's fine. I'm not going to talk any trash about them. In fact, I would say, in my experience, they've been more than accommodating with me and trying to work with me. I made this decision. I dug my own grave, and that's fine. Of course, I can still disagree and wish things were differently, but I'm a big boy. I'm an adult. I know what I did, and I know that it wasn't like this came out of the blue. It is something that's been going on for years now with me and sponsors. So going to the whole Sprinkle, the more I watch Tolarian Community College video, the more I actually think that the lines were not nearly as crossed as everyone says they were. Jeremy, I think, was a cause. I think once they took away that spoiler card and the way they took it away and they exiled him from the community was the beginning of the end for Jeremy, playing nice, and it pushed him into be the monster that they wanted him to be. And he played the role, and that's his own prerogative. And I'll say this again and again and again and again. I don't condone or agree with everything that Jeremy says. Am I a fan of cosplay? Not too. I don't care either way. People can do whatever makes them happy. And I also can't stand male sexual shaming. So if anyone wants to go that road that cosplayers are shouldn't exist because they dress scantily or whatever, stop that nonsense. People can dress however they want. People can be attracted to whatever they want. People can, do whatever they want. I'm a libertarian as libertarian as they come when it comes to that. So I don't have any personal beef against Christine Sprinkle. I don't have any. I have personal opinions about it, and I've expressed those personally with people. I know that Rich Castle was a very huge friend of Christine, and Gathering Magic also was they were one of the, I think they were the very first ones to sponsor Christine in interviews and stuff. So they had a lot they have a lot invested into this whole problem. I think also, who's the other cosplayer? The one that dressed up in Nissa. I can't remember her name. They actually had her, they sponsored her to do that weekly episode for Gathering Magic, like the weekly wrap up video. And so they have a lot invested in this cosplay industry. And so when I refused to condemn Jeremy, I know that definitely was a huge part of the kind of the professional relationship that I had with him, kind of creating like a wedge in between that. So Sprinkle, do I think that she was right to accuse Jeremy of her sole reasoning? I think that I really do think it was disingenuous. I think she was getting a lot of flack from that Flip It or Rip It. I would never do that to my patrons. Never. You will never see me play Flip It or Rip It with your money. And that's exactly what she did. She took her Patreon money, she played Flip It or Rip It, she ended up ripping up an invocation, and to a lot of people, that was really, really offensive to be taking their money and destroying it. And so whether or not you agree with Flip It or Rip It, anyone can do whatever they want. People play it in my shop, and I'm like, you guys are idiots. But it's their money. They can do whatever they want with it. However, when it's your patrons that are affording you to do so, that shows a lot of just disrespect for their hard-earned money. And when the minute you start taking Patreon money, saying you need their money to continue, that is the minute that you have an ethical responsibility to their money. I hope I've been transparent with all of the money that I've spent on Patreon. Yeah, a lot of it did go to this piece of garbage, stupid Yeti, and a lot of other stuff. But a whole computer was funded by Patreon money. A whole nother computer was funded by Patreon money. Everything that I get on Patreon, I try to be transparent where the funds go. And if you ever want to ask me, I'll try to break it down as simple as possible of where it goes. So that's my opinion on that. I think it was a misdirection. I also can't help but see that it was just too planned. Those wedge tweets and those Tony Community College tweets and all the other tweets were too coordinated. I would not be surprised if they reached out to Christine and asked her what she thought about Jeremy. And that might have elicited the response on Twitter. Because if you actually look at the Twitter messages, there is some lapse in when she tweeted that the Wicked Witch is gone because of Flip It or Rip It, and then the Jeremy tweet. So I can't help but be honest here and tell you what I think is going on here. And I've met people like this in the past that when they're in hot water, it's easy for them to just deflect. And I don't know anything beyond that. It's just my observation as a person that has been a friend of Jeremy. So of course I'm jaded there. And I kind of like to consider myself a free thinking person. Again, yeah. Let me be very transparent here. Many of you may not like MTGHQ, Jeremy Unsleeved Media, whatever you want to call him. We are very good friends because of the personal relationship that I've been able to establish with him behind the scenes. We talk, we shoot the breeze. He's someone that has been incredibly supportive of me in the past, and it reached out to me when I wanted to shank him. And not shank him that way, people. I did not like Jeremy. I wanted him to fail. And he, for 6 months, reached out to me, and said, I'm sorry. And since then, we've disagreed on things like crazy. I thought his tweet towards Cardsphere was very uncalled for. Me and Cardsphere are really good friends as well. All the guys over at Cardsphere. And when they just had all Cardsphere did was tweeted out that they were supporting the Spike art, and I have nothing against the Spike art as well. And I kind of thought that was, so I kind of came to Cardsphere's defense there. I'm not his puppet. I'm not his pawn. I'm not his lackey, and we will continue to disagree about stuff in the future. We will continue. We even had this phone call. We know we're very politically different, Jeremy and I. We agree on a lot of things, though. But friendship goes beyond politics. It goes beyond the public sphere. And that's a type of guy that I like having in my corner, someone that I know personally and has been. I mean, it's kind of the opposite of the relationship that I had with Wedge in Learning Community College. Because in the public sphere, we were very friendly. We all had a lot of good collaborations and stuff like that. But in the private sphere, that's where I lost all respect for both of them. Is private interactions. And I can't stand when they went on their little rant about evidence. Provide evidence or shut up. Provide evidence. Wedge went on a big whole day of liking every anti-rogue deck builder tweet and retweeting at me. You gonna send me the evidence or this is slander? Send the evidence, make it public. It's like, Wedge, I'll talk to you privately. I'm not gonna air this out anymore in the public sphere. And just retweeted everyone that had any anti-rogue deck builder sentiments there that I need to go public with this information. Call them out. Everything that all the communications I had with both Wedge and was without people's consent. That is just the most lowest behavior. And for me, that's where it all came from. And you can believe me if you want. This never happened like they said. I'm not going to do it. So, is my audio still not dead? It's recording on my end. How's the audio now? Oh, sorry. So what did you miss there? I missed am I being censored by YouTube here? Where was I? Tell me where I was at. Where was where I cut off, and I'll try to repeat myself. Apologies about that. Oh no, that sucks. I didn't bump it or anything. I think everything is going good. So half of it is cut out, huh? Cut out for about 15 seconds. Okay, so I guess you can fill in the blanks. So like I said with Wedge and Tolarian, go back to Twitter, you can retrace the Twitter steps of where it all started. Basically, I didn't really come to Jeremy's defense. What I said was that that Wedge and Tolarian Community College should be the last people that should be trying to claim that they are innocent victims in the Unsleeved Media attack campaign that he did. Wedge and both Tolarian Community College have a lot of history with Jeremy. They have a lot of history in the MTG community. And that's all I said, is that these two people who have been notorious for being bullies and gatekeepers should stay out of, or should not call other people bullies and gatekeepers. Adam, thanks for the donation, man. I appreciate it a lot. I'll be using that. What do you want $25 to be spent on? I'll let you decide. Anyone that sends a donation, you tell me where it goes, I'll spend it there. So anyway, funny, I need to eat my food too. I have this Costa Vida going cold that Zach brought me. Isn't Zach the greatest person ever? So anyway, where was I with this whole thing? So that's where my tweet started. And then, of course, Tolarian College sent one tweet back my way saying provide evidence. And Wedge sent a barrage of tweets. We're talking like, 20 tweets telling me to evidence, and retweeting every anti-rogue deck builder tweet. And I told him right off the bat, I'm not taking this any further. You want to talk to me? You know where to find me. And he didn't care. He hasn't reached out to me once. Since we had our falling out, Wedge has not even communicated with me. And this is a guy that I was on like a 3-hour Skype call with, trying to convince him that the storm will blow over and he doesn't need to off himself. I am not joking. That's how destitute the situation was. Wedge was beside himself. He couldn't even function. And we, who are supposed to be his friends, rallied behind him. So it was when Darium exposed him for his role in trying to bully people for not having the group think. And so I have a lot of responsibility. I had to give a huge apology to Kevin Soffels, Darium CCG, because a lot of the stuff, remember when his local game store got Wizards investigated? That was me. That was all me. That was using my connections with Wizards at the time because I felt that he unfairly attacked Wedge. And I had to give one of the most humbling apologies I've ever had in my entire life, when I had to call up Kevin Soffels and beg for his forgiveness, because now that I saw more evidence, and that's what kind of turned me against the whole Wedge thing. The Puka trade really turned me against Wedge, because no one came out against Puka trade until I demanded that they do. And that just made me lose a lot of respect for both Turning Q College and Wedge over that incident. But a lot of everything that went on was private communications back and forth, Skype calls, things like that. And it's so, like, when they keep saying evidence, that it's so, it's so gross. Because what does that tell you about them? They probably are recording private phone calls and you know, things that happen back and forth. And that's awful. That's you don't do that. There's things that are uncalled for, and that's one of them. So anyway, is that enough? Does anyone in the comment sections? I'm going to try to start reading more comments from the comment section, or the chat. So if you have more questions about that, we'll talk about that. Whew. How do you feel about the heart of the matter, Sean McCraney? He's an ex-Mormon Christian who devoted his entire life to the ministry to help other Mormons leave the church. He has his own TV program, blah, 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 blah. I've looked into his stuff early on, but here's a little bit pet peeve. The first time I left the church, I was had this huge outreach of born again Christians, and a lot of my issues with the Mormon church isn't necessarily the Mormon church. It's just religion in general. So I'm not a big Sean McCraney fan, at all. And I'm not going to get into much, because I know, just statistically speaking, I'm sure the vast majority of you are theists and not agnostic or atheist, and you have every right to worship how, where, or what you may. And I'm not going to judge you for that. Again, if we get in my second channel, I'll give you kind of my own theories on stuff, but they're just that, theories. That's why I claim to be agnostic. And I respect your right to worship. And I hope that I never attack people's specific ways of worshiping. So Sean McCraney, though, it's not something I'm going to get into, or I'm not going to adhere to, because I left everything when I left. It's the whole Christianity, stuff like that. I left it all behind when I left my faith. So yeah, so I'm not a fan of Sean McCraney for that reason. But speaking of the ex-Mormon community too, I consider myself an ex-Mormon, because the whole John Dehlin, just Google who John Dehlin is, became very disingenuous. Go Google this Savannah. She was on Ellen. She was on a bunch of other shows, because she got up in sacrament meeting and they taped it, so you can tell, you know, that people knew this was coming. Taped her kind of coming out to the congregation, and they cut her mic and told her that it wasn't the time and the place to do this. And of course, it went viral. And I actually agree with the Mormon congregation there. It wasn't the time and place to do this. This was something that was calculated. It was something that was supposed to embarrass the Mormon church, and people need to grow up, in my opinion. Yes, the church holds a lot of, and even ask Zach here. Zach, I think, agrees with me on this. We both get fed up when people do this, that just attack the church to attack the church for attacking the church's sake. Yeah, there are a lot of things I don't agree with the Mormon culture. There's a lot of things that I felt personally bullied and belittled and berated that the church has done to me in the past. But I also don't think that it's right just to have this big hate mob against the LDS church. A lot of my friends, my family, my community is LDS. I respect their way of life. I respect them. They've toned it down a ton since the whole Proposition 8 thing. They've tried to rebrand, which I find fault with, of course. If you're a religion, I don't think you can rebrand, but that's a discussion for another day. And I don't think we should be attacking the church, unduly attacking it. So that's why I consider myself an ex-Mormon, is because when I called out Savannah, I believe I got a temporary ban from the Ex-Mormon subreddit for calling out Savannah. And I just don't like their groupthink over at the Ex-Mormon subreddit. I think it's gone from one end of the pendulum off to the extreme on the other. That you almost have to be have a certain way of thinking to be accepted in the ex-Mormon community. It's stupid. All right. Whew. What kind of community will be synthesized that result of the current conflict? The WotC certified and approved creators and personalities, and disavowed and disowned by the WotC creators and personalities. Best case, worst case scenarios. This is my prediction. Magic's going to take a huge hit. We're going to see singles prices crash. We're going to see a lot of people leave the community. I hope this will be a wake-up call for Wizards, and then we can start the healing. But Magic is a game that is beyond, has so much depth, is so much better than any. It's in a class of its own. Other card games have come and gone and failed. Wizards has not. It's stayed the test of time. It's the best game. It's going to come back. Okay, let's go here. I still think that Jeremy had it coming for him, considering the words he whipped out of his social media channels. Honestly, I'm not sure how I'd feel if you expressed your support for Jeremy and his antics. However, I'm still going to stay subbed to your channel because the reason I'm here in the first place is that you identify yourself as a rogue deck user, something that I also appreciate. Oh, and I love your MTG market reviews. That being said, any ideas of how to make mono green stomps work in today's meta? Mono green stomping in standard? You need to go the Kenner route big time. I think that mono green still needs some help, though. I think that there's no reason not to splash. Mana is too good right now in the standard format. Stompy actually does work in modern. It just tends to be a worse Death Shadow, in my opinion. Back to the Jeremy thing. Yes, you're entitled to your own opinion, Reed. I'll try to keep it as cordial and courtesy as possible. I agree with you. Jeremy did this on purpose. He knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted to be in the kind of the skeptic community, the Sargon of Akkad. And we as a Magic the Gathering community handed that to him on a silver platter. He's laughing all the way to the bank because now look at him. I think his stream actually generated thousands of dollars. So you guys, just all of you Jeremy haters, you gave it to him. You created him. You funded him. You 100% gave him the platform that he now has. So congratulations. If this is what you didn't want, you did it, and you have no one to blame but yourself. So that's what I'm going to say about that. That's what I've been having this conversation with people at Gathering Magic. I told them that. I'm like, you really want to give him ammo? You really want to give him fire? Keep doing what you're doing, because there's no way that Jeremy could have become what he's become today without people painting him as the boogeyman and trying to get him banned, trying to do all these things. So that's that stink for the future. And disagree with me all you want, but that's what happens. That's how Trump got elected, to be honest. And again, I'm not going to inject politics in here because I know there people have different points of view. But my uncle is a huge conservative, and I have liberals and conservative. Every one of my mom's side of the family, every time we get together, is a huge political fight because I have one cousin who lives in Boston, is a huge I think he's a registered Democrat, he campaigns for him, stuff like that. And my uncle who lives in Utah, in northern Utah, is a diehard Republican and conservative. And every Thanksgiving dinner, or I didn't go Thanksgiving this time, but every time we get together, it's let's brace ourselves. Here it comes. And so that my uncle, that's what he said. He's like, the only reason, because you got to know that Mormons don't like Trump because they think that Trump came after Romney. And so, but when it came down to it, they preferred that it was more of a big FU to the Republican Party and a big FU just to the system to vote Trump in, even though they hated him. And I think that's kind of the same thing that was happened, in the MTG community. It's pushed a lot of people that wouldn't support Jeremy and his ideologies, but they've seen the other side attack him so relentlessly that it's just pushed people in droves to support him. So anyway, that was a can of worms. This comes from Regro. First, they part ways with Newmont. I think actually they couldn't afford Newmont, so that's not. Gathering Magic tried to keep on Newmont. They just couldn't afford him. Would like to visit Gone Rogue, but going to the U.S. is a challenge both for my wallet and my planning abilities. What are the places you'd recommend going sightseeing in the U.S.? I hate sightseeing, so I'm a terrible person to say there. And on 2 weeks on a budget of a grasshopper, what is the ideal amount of money to survive? You're going to at least need $20 if you're going to be eating fast food a day. Maybe you can get on less than that if you actually are good budgeting your money. I don't know. You're asking the wrong person because I can't stand traveling and sightseeing. So what are my favorite places in the world? I'm of course, Lake Powell on the border of Arizona and Utah is probably the most beautiful place in all of the United States, in my opinion. I love Myrtle Beach or Sunset Beach in North Carolina. That is a huge part of my childhood is going there. The Rocky Mountains are absolutely stunning. Pagosa Springs, Colorado, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. My neck of the woods, hey, let's do some promotion for my neck of the woods. Fish Lake National Forest here, absolutely gorgeous. You want to escape from society and up in the mountains? People keep asking me, why do I stay in Richfield, Utah? I've talked about this earlier with just the position I was in life, but also this place is stunning. I can go 20 minutes in any direction and not see another human being my entire fishing trip. I love it. I absolutely love it here. Where are some other places that I love? Yellowstone's beautiful. Been there before. California, the beaches on California. I of course love Los Angeles. A lot of my childhood was spent there. Vegas is worthwhile visiting at least once in your life. Where else have I gone? Go see an Avalanche game in Denver. Those are some of my favorite times in my life. Huge Colorado Avalanche fan. We'll get to these questions too. I'll try in the side. Let's go here. Out of curiosity, why did you choose to stay? Oh, there we go. Out of curiosity, why did you choose to stay in Utah, where the culture made you so unhappy? Because I'm not a big believer of moving. Do you know what the number one criticism was when I left the church? People told me if I don't like it here, then move. I got that. That was by far the question or insult that I got from my peers when I came out of the church and started fighting against some of the things that I thought the church was unfairly doing to the culture. Why would I want to do that? This is my home. I have as much right to live here as anyone else. And people always say that I should move to like Austin or Portland or some places that are a lot more open to my sort of personality. This is my home. I have friends here. I have family here. I love the mountains. I like being a social outcast. Let's just put that out there. And it's just, Zach, be a good boy and get me a drink, eh? I do, eh? Eh? I'm Canadian, see? Eh? No, you know what? Yeah, there you go. There you go. Everyone shout out to Zach. So I can actually... I don't think I need anything from Walmart. Anyone need anything from Walmart while Zach's out? There's another good reason why I stick here in Utah. Zach's become a really good friend. We met through Magic. And he's been very loyal, even though we clash heads all of the time. But yeah, good guy. Shout out to Zach. And everyone we've met here too. I also, back to the Utah thing, more people need to do this. More people need to stick to their guns and not give up. I'm going to stick in the Magic community, whether I get banned or not. They actually have ammo against me. I participated in Magic for bad, even though I will defend that I was just a one post to meme on Desolate or Magic, but I stayed. I didn't leave. And from time to time, I would browse. But so if they want to ban, they have ammo to ban me. But people need to stay in the cultures that they actually want to have be a voice of reason. One of the things that I've tried to do is I don't inject myself into like young boys that are having the decision to go on missions. However, if any young boy does come up to me and ask me my opinion on serving a mission or the church in general, I will be honest with them. And so I think that I've actually had a very positive influence on a lot of people around here. Because when I went on a mission, there was no dissenting point of view. I had no one in my life telling me that it was going to be a bad thing. I had not one person tell me that they had a horrible, awful experience on their mission. When I got on my mission, that was one of the worst things too, is when everyone else was claiming it's the best 2 years of their life, how much fun they're having. And it was awful. I was ready to off myself. It was so horrible. And I felt like I must have been just some big reject that can't enjoy life the way other people enjoy life or whatever. What was wrong with me? What the hell was wrong with me where I couldn't enjoy my mission? So for now, I stay here in this community to be that dissenting point of view. Would Jace the Mind Sculptor be able to be unbanned if they also unbanned other powerful cards to compete against it? I think Jace is actually fine right now. I think that combo, Jace, they outrace it, and control needs a little bit of a push. It's worth experimenting. And what's the problem with unbanning Jace and then banning it? We need a watch list, not a ban list. We need a ban list, of course, but we need a watch list on Magic Gathering. We need to be able to be like, these are the cards we're thinking of unbanning, so be very, very careful while investing in them, because we could reban them at any point in time. So they need to be... I hear Hex has this system. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. If Hex goes... I've never played Hex. I need to. So... do I still play the guitar? Nope. I'm musically challenged. We'll put it that way. Play a little bit of the piano, but I'm very musically challenged. It's definitely not a strength of mine. Also, what are my opinions on the reserve list and legacy? Ugh, I'm not sure they can actually go back on the reserve. Personally, I wish they get rid of it, more for Commander than Legacy. But I think investors would lose all faith in Wizards. It's just such a tough issue to tackle. I'm 50-50 on it. Yep, I know I can go back up the stream. I'll try to get back to that stuff. Oh, other people can as well. When do you plan on making the second channel? When I get time, first of the year. Same with the fishing channel. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I promise. All the people that hate this on my main channel, Jeremy, you just missed my rant on you, buddy. Now you're gonna be in here, and I'm gonna, yeah. So, I did nothing wrong. Yes, I did. I did plenty of wrong. They warned me. They warned me over and over, and I stubbornly didn't heed their warnings. Shout out to Voltage Mountain Dew. Most disgusting stuff ever that I drink, but I continue to drink it. The point is you being a big influence on the community and not taking a side. Is this a two-part question? Okay. The point is you being a big influence on the community and not taking a side. You say that you stand for all your principles, but what are they? Hopefully I've told you what my principles are on here. What are your principles you're sticking by if you won't state take a side on the issues of bullying in the community? Well, right there, because I don't think that this is the right way to go about it. Hate mobs are not the right way to go about it. Disagree with Jeremy to your heart's content. You guys want to see a good video where I think someone disagrees with Jeremy? Go check out Vito, the dude that made the Pepsi commercial, the funny Pepsi Antifa rally video. That is the way you criticize. You don't go hate mobs. And you can then go criticize Vito's video. Criticize my video. That's the way to do it. Start a discussion. Don't call people buzzwords. Don't call for bannings or I'm going to quit playing Magic unless you ban Jeremy. Or I'm going to quit reading Star City Games unless you take Jim Davis's article down. All that kind of stuff is absolute nonsense. Stop it. Those are my principles. How do I feel about Unsleeve going full Keck Lord? Loaded question here. And appealing to the pole community at the time of the culture is clearly aligned with racist groups. All right, and Prono, you're not going to like this response, but we disagree here. We disagree wholeheartedly here. Very wholeheartedly. On pole, on 4chan, on the term Keck, on Pepe, on all that kind of stuff. Yes, the term alt-right has been compromised. I'll be the first one to say that. It started off as people that weren't, like, no one can even say, I think even like Milo and Lauren Southern and a bunch of these other people that used to use that term have completely retracted any sort of support they have for this so-called alt-right. So I'm with you there. A lot of this has been co-optive, but you need to know the history of Keck, Pol, 4chan, Pepe. They did that on purpose. So go research Pepe. The whole, Pepe was a meme that 4chan used back and forth. Then they started noticing that it was showing up on Twitter, it was showing up on Facebook, and then it was showing up on the worst place imaginable for 4chaners, Reddit and Instagram. So 4chan hates those two, Reddit and Instagram. So they wanted their meme back. So they were going to make Pepe into a hate symbol so they could get their meme back because they knew that Reddit and Instagram and Facebook would not touch it if it was associated with the hate group. So they specifically started, this is all very well documented, they specifically started memeing out hate stuff so that people would stop using Pepe. And then it got really funny to see how far they could take it. They did it with that, you know, that the blue, or is the purple bird that like goes crazy. They after that they said, how fast can we turn this into a record where we can turn this into a hate symbol, or the OK symbol. They turned it into a hate symbol within record time. This is funny for 4chan. They did it on purpose. They turned Keck, they turned Pepe, they turned Kekistan into a thing they knew that the mainstream would hate because they declared war on normies. A normie is someone that has, a normie is someone that doesn't have an unhealthy relationship with the internet. They own the term autist. That's what, if 4chan now uses that simultaneous for anyone that uses it, because everyone just called them autistic over and over and over and over and over and over. You're autistic. So they owned it. Yep. That's what we are. We are people that don't fit in society, that have goofy ideas about the internet that are too subscribed to internet culture, and that's what we are. And so everything of this was done on purpose. So for you to ascribe Pol and Kek and Pepe and Kekistan and what else is there out there to hate groups, you're part of the running joke. They're laughing at you. In fact, Pol is just as critical about the white supremacist groups, about the neo-Nazis, about that entire Richard Spencer. Richard Spencer is a meme now. Everyone makes fun of Richard Spencer. Do you know anyone that actually ascribes to Richard Spencer? Does anyone know anyone at all that is a legit fan of him? Well, yeah, It's Okay to Be White is another one that they did just to see how fast they could get record outrage. So I don't know anyone. I personally don't know anyone that ascribes to any of these. I'm back to my libertarian position. I am a individualist. There's nothing worse for like an individualist centrist than a nationalist or a supremacist in any sort of fashion. They are as bad to me as the communism, the extreme socialism, the other collectivist ideologies. As they're just they're two sides of the same coin that want to just become collectivism. I hate collectivism. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. So I will always be an individualist. So I guess that's my principle. So you can disagree with me on this here, but I hope we can have a good discussion about where we disagree here, because I am a child of 4chan. I am a child of the internet. I grew up in Richfield, Utah. I grew up in a culture that I didn't have anything in common with. I've never shot a gun. I use it as a badge of honor here because everyone in my community loves to hunt. There's twice that my little Richfield, Utah has made national news. One is when they did a raid on our Richfield High School parking lot and found like 13 guns. I'm not joking. They found like 13 guns on our campus at Richfield High School. And so national news picked it up and like, oh my God, this little tiny city in Podunk, Central Utah there's guns at school. There's guns at school. There's guns at school. They failed to report that it was hunting season. And everyone just had their rifles in their car because right after school, you have this little window during the deer hunt to get your deer. And so people, as soon as school gets out, they're up on the mountain. And so these kids were taking their guns to school so they could hunt afterwards. There was no shootings. There was no threats. There was nothing. It's just the culture here. And these people just jumped on this gun thing, like that we had this huge gun problem here in Richfield, Utah, when it wasn't. And you know what happened to our school? Our principal made an announcement. People, don't bring your guns to school. They will be confiscated if you bring them to school. That was the end of it. That was it. Like that, people just don't understand the culture. And then, I'm a transplant here to Richfield too. My parents aren't from Richfield, and I moved here when I was 8 years old. So I actually moved from Colorado. So anyway, the second time that Richfield, Utah got a bad rap in national news is the school to the south of us is called the Rams. And there's a little bit of a rivalry. The school to the south just thinks they're a bigger deal than they really are, because they're not even the same division as Richfield is, or they used to not be. But they had a rivalry with the football programs, and a bunch of kids went up on the mountain and killed a ram and hung it from the goalposts of South Sevier, is the South Sevier Rams goalpost. And it made national news. PETA got involved and whatnot. And again, it was just one of those things that is just, the hunting was so part of our culture that was just kind of like something that no one even thought of as like animal cruelty or anything. And the only thing that really ended up like the only like legal actions that were took is the person that owned the ram. I think it was a sheep they ended up having to get because they couldn't find a ram, so they found the closest thing. He's like, you guys need to pay for the sheep. You poached my sheep, pay for it. No charges pressed, nothing. But man, there are people that wanted them to go to jail for doing that. And I know these kids. They're about 6 years younger than me, I think. So it happened a while after it. I know I grew up with their families. I went to church with some of them. I knew these kids personally. They weren't hateful, awful people. It's just the culture here. People hunt here. And you can be my little brother's a huge animal rights activist. I wouldn't call him an activist, but my little brother's a vegetarian. He does not believe in hunting. He loves animals. And I respect my little brother's point of view. I respect Richfield, Utah's point of view here. But going back to why I was kind of a child of the internet is I also didn't really identify with a lot of people here in Richfield. So that's why I got into Magic as well. So yeah, it's hey, MP, I guess you're on here. While you're here, MP, is there any specific questions? If I've answered this enough? Well, of course there are white supremacists, there are Nazis, but I think that people want to. But do you know how disingenuous Vice is? Go watch Vice's video on Antifa and how they say we're making a big deal about Antifa when we shouldn't be making a big deal about Antifa because it's just a very, very minority of a minority of a minority. Yet in the same breath, Vice can make a video about how we have a Nazi problem. Talk about disingenuous reporting. You can't have it both ways, Vice. You can't have it both ways. Do we have an Antifa problem or not? Because you can't like say we have, just me personally, I live in a very, very extremely white culture here. Well, Utah's getting a lot more multiracial because the only place it's growing, the only place that the Mormon church is growing is in Latin America. And then a ton of them move here. Fun fact, there's more Polynesians in Utah than there is in all of Polynesia. Because they had a huge high conversion rate of Polynesians in like Tonga and Samoa, and now they all live in Utah. They all moved to Utah. So, yeah. Well, I used to like Vice too, but again, I'm not going to subscribe to either like Rebel Media or Gavin McInnes like wholeheartedly either. There's a lot of things I disagree with all of that movement, with Milo, with Lauren Southern, with Rebel Media, with Gavin McInnes, with who else is there? Who else is a lot of the skeptic community? There's things I disagree with wholeheartedly with how they. How they position their some things. So anything else? MP Rono? Is that how I say it? Rono? I'm not a Proud Boy either. I'm not a nationalist. I hate identity politics. So I'll give you a little bit of a second. I'll try to scroll up MP to see if there's anything else you want to say here, because I'll give you your piece. Cartel Aristocrats, I'm actually not part of the WPN, so go ahead and try to fire me, buddy. What's your problem, Jeremy? What's your problem with me lately? You want to get into some thing here's. Jeremy, you talk about politics on your channel all the time. I mean, I'm not gonna. I'll play it nice with you. I was actually thinking about inviting you on my Market Monday. I was a huge fan of your show for a long time. So talk about like throwing people out of community for disagreeing. We'll get into it. Private message me, man. I'd love to talk to you, Jeremy. Wrong Jeremy too, by the way. So, yeah, very, 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 very upset with some of the things there. So we'll take it to PMs for that. But you're on my stream here. You want to make that threat. And how am I supposed to take this, Jeremy? How the hell am I supposed to take this? Please tell me. Come on, answer it. I don't know. I'm just, yeah, we all are emotional here at Up in Arms here, especially when, in the past, that's, okay, I'm just going to drop it. We'll take it to PMs. Alrighty, so, let's go on to the next one. Endless Baggins. Hi, Kevin. Real thanks for this video. I discovered you recently and have to say, from as far as what I find you being a bright man and intelligent human being. I was not expecting your Mormon testimony in this video, despite having asked you for this in another video. I'm glad you did it. Do you have time to talk about future culture? I think we've gone over this like crazy. I've said enough about the Ex-Mormon community. I'll talk about it more in my other channel as well. I'm sure it will come up. All right. GM letting you go is their loss and your gain. You're the only reason I stayed sub to them because of your brews you brought. Use this time to build your brand and skyrocket. With the current political climate in the MTG, the controversy of WotC's product quality, and the reports of overwhelming amounts of players leaving the game, how do you feel MTG will do in 2018 and the long run in general? 2018 is going to be what I still think is a bear market, because I don't think there's any way they recovered from both the Iconic Masters debacle as well as the outrage of this whole community issue. So it's even if we get like the vast majority of what they think is going to go, watch MTG Purple's video about his whole store is gone now. If they're going to push away that whole thing, their sales are going to go down. Going back to GM, please don't unsubscribe to Rich. Rich is one of my favorite people in the entire world. That's Rich's channel. It used to be called General Collectibles, and then Gathering Magic bought it out. That guy's put his heart and soul. He got killed by the algorithm. When he used to put out like every video series as a private video, it killed his channel. And my heart bleeds for the guy, because if there's anyone that is cared about building a community, about building a channel, building a brand, and giving people outlets to speak their voice, it's Rich Castle. And I don't want him to get hurt by me now, of course, airing my dirty laundry with Gathering Magic. Do not punish Rich for this. Do not punish him. He is an awesome guy. Now, do I wish that someone else would hire him? Absolutely. Do I think that Gathering Magic gives Rich the praise and respect and credit he deserves? Absolutely not. Do I think Evan Irwin is terrible for the Gathering Magic brand? Absolutely. Can I go on and on and on for this for ages? Yes. But Rich is a good friend. And despite, I know we have disagreements, me and Rich. I know for a fact that we feel differently about stuff. He is a very good friend of mine. And I hate to see his channel. I looked at it yesterday, and I know he's hemorrhaging subs. And yeah, I know if your whole point was to watch the Rogues Alley, and there's no point to be subscribed there anymore. But Rich makes some great content. Look at his Did You Know stuff. A lot of those are really good. So I do not punish Rich, please. He's one of my very, very best friends that I've met through Magic the Gathering. Great guy. He stuck his neck up me many times. He's probably had heat for this crap. And back to even like Evan or Robert. If you're listening to this too, lay off. He has absolutely nothing to do with this. This guy has not done anything possible to hurt your brand. So don't think like, yeah, that's that. You have a problem with me, both of you? Come speak to me directly. They actually gave me another month at Gathering Magic. They wanted me to continue to producing videos for an entire month at Gathering Magic, and I don't even feel that they deserve a response back after because they weren't frank. They weren't honest about why they're letting me go. They basically are saying budget costs. Oh bull. It's not budget costs. It has nothing to do with that. They know the value that I brought to their company. It's all ideological, or at least them wanting to kind of stray away from that. And again, I found it very disingenuous while they'll continue to sponsor other places that will talk political and will have very, very strong stances on things and are very divisive. Again, we'll go back to, I mean, you can just see some of their content. I actually was scrolling through Gathering Magic's content in the past and actually found a post that was saying that if you're an MRA, get the hell out of our game. Or they used to sponsor that guy that said that. And yeah. Anyway. Alrighty. All right, Jeremy. Like I said, Jeremy, maybe I was reading too much into your comment. I just glanced at it at the side. I glanced it. And if I'm giving you an unfair rap here, I apologize. It's just, that's the thing about the internet. You can't tell where people are coming from with their little comments on it. So I apologize if I laid in too hard there. Whew. Okay. Another one from Matt Carlson. Kevin, I followed you for a long time. Rogue Decks for life. I appreciate your content, including your personal stories, especially personal stories. Humans have always been prone to groupthink mentality, tribalism, whether it's religion, race, sex, politics. Is this Foucault? Someone tells me I need to read Foucault. I need to just absorb it all and not necessarily agree with it, but just read it, because he makes. I had a huge discussion with Kyle about this, and I've never got into Foucault, so that is on my to-do list to learn about tribalism and that kind of stuff. That's why religion wasn't for you. That's why you're not taking sides, and that's why you're a rogue deck builder. Most of the greatest contributors to society had no place in the communities that rejected them. It's just the way it is. My question is this. The greater part of the community wants to have an opinion on you. For whatever reason, can you accept this and just be yourself? Because of your mind, you may never be accepted into groupthink. It's just not for you. Whether it's family, friends, subs, you can't sway away. I'm also really curious how important you think it is to think differently from the group, to have the courage to voice an unpopular opinion, even in the face of criticism, even to be wrong. Is it important to have people willing to do that in Magic? I would love some commentary on it. Okay, so funny thing about this, one of my teachers when I was growing up told me the only reason I liked hockey is because everyone around this area hated hockey. And that's the Only reason I liked it. And I took it to heart because, you know, I did like to push envelopes and stuff like that. And I actually did reevaluate everything in my life to see if some of the reasons I like stuff is just to push people's buttons. And yes, that happens. That happens all the time. I go into a movie hating it if people like it. I went into, like, let me tell you a story about, what's the book by Orson Scott Card? Why can't I think of it? Ender's Game. I had 2 of my very best friends recommend Ender's Game. And I think I went into that book expecting to prove them wrong because they, of course, didn't like some of the things I liked. And I think I gave Ender's Game a very unfair critique because I hated the book. Absolutely hated Ender's Game. And I've done that with many other things in my life. But you know, there's some very popular things that I like that everyone likes. Game of Thrones is one. What's the other HBO series? The West one, Westworld. I loved Westworld, so I wouldn't say that I just jump on the anti-bandwagon. Hated Star Wars episode 7. Thought it was the worst garbage. South Park's awesome. I love that entire season because it was just. I swear I must be on the same wavelength as the South Park creators because I just love the way they handle their social commentary. Oh, man. All right, I'll try to get through the last bit of questions. I don't even know how many I had. I thought we were getting close. Is that it? Oh, that's it. I think that was the last question. Whew, let's get on to your chat. Is there any question? If you said something you wanted in the chat section, I don't even know how many people are following this time. I haven't been checking stats and stuff. Hopefully there was a good following. If not, whatever. I know I'm a small voice. My 28,000 subscribers is very misleading because I'm probably besides Jeremy, I'm probably HQ. I'm probably the oldest YouTubers out there. And so my 28,000 subscribers was a collection over a long period of time. And so you can see like other recent people like MTG Mudsta or Magic AIDS or what's some other channels that have even less subscribers than me actually have a lot more pull than I do because they have genuine like numbers. And I'm probably more along the 5,000 to 10,000 mark for legit subscribers I have. I admit that. I know that. You can look at people's Facebooks and Twitter to kind of have comparison to see exactly what kind of pull they have. But I hope that I have I know I have some loyal fans and stuff like that. I'll keep doing it. All right. We'll try to hear. What do you think Watsy started to care about all this? Wouldn't it be better to ignore everyone? I'm expecting some more repercussions for having stances that I have. Let's see. Any thoughts on Helene as an author? I have no clue who. Or Hylian? I have no clue. Raul? I have not a clue who that is. Send me a link. I need to read more. Books that I've read during my life. Huge Chuck Flanowick fan. Love Chuck Flanowick. Fight Club was a huge. I love the style of the writing. I used to do a lot of philosophy. I had a lot of philosophy classes and things like that before I got into psychology. I'm actually a fan of Leviathan by Hobbes. It was a life-changing thing. Existentialism, just the basis of philosophy, but secular humanism, a lot of that type of stuff I got into for a while. But lately I haven't read a lot of philosophical stuff or deeper stuff. All right. What will make you play Modern again? Getting rid of Simian Spirit Guide is a good start. And I think that this Storm needs some nerf somewhere that doesn't kill the deck. Okay, so what do you think of Soul Sisters in Modern? Which version would you play? I would play the Legion Landing Soul Sister deck. The latest one is by far the best. And people, let me talk about Storm for a second. I did a league with the Legion Landing Soul Sisters and I actually went 3-2. So before I get hate for playing my last league that made me rage quit Modern, I actually had a winning record. I played Storm 4 out of 5 of the matches. So I was 50-50 versus Storm. Oh, no. 2 of my losses were Storm. Yeah, 2 wins and 2 losses, 50-50 versus Storm. It's not like I can't beat the deck. Every game I won was because of Rest in Peace or another hate card coming down. Every one I lost is because I didn't have my hate card. I don't want to play a format where I play a hate card, you lose. I don't play a hate card, you win. That is not something I'm interested in. The other match that I played was Through the Breach. Want to know how that game ended? Howled Moonlight. I won game 1 just because he stumbled and did nothing, and literally a draft deck could have beat him because they didn't find their pieces. And when Through the Breach doesn't find their pieces, they just sit and dirtle all day. And so you could literally attack him with a 3-3 and kill them because they literally don't do anything. And the second game, he Through the Breach me on turn 2 or turn 3. And then turn 3, or game 3, tried to Through the Breach, and I Howled Moonlighted him. And he lost. I don't want to play that. I don't want to play a league full of playing Rest in Pieces and Hallowed Moonlights to combat some, you know, janky combo, in my opinion. Something that shouldn't exist in Magic. But that's me. And everyone can play the way they want to play. I don't want to play that way. Try to at me if you have a question. It's easy for me to see it. And Natural Law. You guys are going to have to tweet me all of your guys' books you read, because I need to start reading again. What are your feelings on the Commander rules? You can go read my tweets about that. I'm against it. I think it's just a push by Wizards to sell more of their stupid set that nobody wants. Well, I shouldn't speak for everyone. If you like the joke sets, go for it. I think Zach's looking... Zach, what do you think about unhinged, unstable, something? He doesn't think it's edgy enough. He misses the edginess. I talked about that earlier in this stream. So more edge. Do you think Ancient Stirring should be banned? No, it's already lost favor. Maybe it's a lot of those consistency stuff. I'm okay with them, though. Who do you think about? What do you think about Tasty Snackies? And will he be a bigger person in your circle? Tasty Snackies is a huge part of me, of my life. I'm gonna pay him to do a channel trailer for me because I like his work. So I'm trying to give Tasty some opportunity to make some money and make me a good channel trailer. So because I think he's really professional with it. I need my channel needs a trailer. So Northern Sisters is okay, love it. Used to watch Strictly Better, but all he does is standard. I don't have any beefs against Strictly Better. My only beef against him is I think he just produces content too much and doesn't back up his ideas. But that's just a pet peeve. I think that he could actually do gameplays with it, and it just seems to me that Tasty literally, like, he's like, oh my god, okay, this card exists. This card, okay. Well, these are Pokemon cards. This card exists. I'm gonna build an entire deck around this. I'm just gonna throw together every card that could go with this card and throw it together and call it like a brew. That is it a brew? Maybe his idea of a brew is a little bit different than my idea of a brew of really trying to calculate what goes into it. Whereas his just seems to be more of a, it's like a cooking. It's like, oh, I've got this ingredient and this ingredient. Oh, what the hell? Throw it together. So, but as a person, he seems like a nice guy. Never had any beef with him, and he's more than fair to critique my content. But I'd love to collaborate it with him. I'd love to take one of his decks and see where we can improve it. So, do you watch Magic Aids video? Just barely got introduced to Magic Aids videos. That's some pretty good content. Gotta admit, he's very. I think he's going places. His commentary is great. I feel like the Magic recession is near. How bad do you feel it could get? Bad enough to cause a bear market, not bad enough to kill the game. Legendary Mana. I'm selling out of Modern after the Modern Pro Tour. Then I'm going to rebuy. I'm going to reinvest back in it. So you can see that I have faith in the market, just not current faith in the market. Why does he call himself Magic AIDS too? What is that AIDS? Is that a play on words? So I haven't watched enough of his content to know if it's a play on words or not. Because if so, he's out of the community. He will get run out with a pitchfork. What do you think of Cyberlore? And did you see he was treated by Wedge? Cyberlore and I private message each other back and forth all the time. We are very friendly. I like the guy a lot. Sad that we weren't able to ever collaborate. More my fault than his. We actually had a Magic game show we wanted to do where I know nothing about lore and hate Magic lore, and he loves lore. And so he was going to pose a lore question, and I'd have to try to guess the answer or guess my theory on what the lore is, because I never read the lore. I could care less about it. It's terrible writing, in my opinion. Are you making another Commander Spotlight? Yes. Zach! Ew. I didn't want to know that. Bring me Theta! Zach's going to bring me Theta. Just Theta. All right, this is the next one. So, Little Mermaid Theta. I don't know if this, gosh, Mike. I need to, that's the next Commander Spotlight. Tasty's already done a kind of intro video to it that I'm going to put on there with Theta Adele. Theta Adele is one of my favorite commanders. The Little Mermaid, it's a thief deck. This is the next one. So be looking forward to that. And I think Nahab's going to be after that, because I think people want to see a more recent commander. Those videos take forever to edit. I suck at editing. I rage while I'm editing. I get distracted while I'm editing because Twitter, Facebook's right there to click a button away. So I'll try to get to that. I promise you, by the end of December, you'll have Theta. End of December. Hold me to it. If I don't have Theta by the end of December, you guys pick the punishment. Do I think Jeremy will get banned? Absolutely. He's gone. Jeremy is gone. They will ban him. And it's going to cause a huge problem. Huge backlash. But we'll talk about that. Okay, so I guess Magic Aids has the humor then. That's fine. I don't think he'll last long then. What is your favorite Magic set, and would you want to do a card anthology? Of course, Card Bazaar. I'll do a card anthology. Everyone go subscribe to Card Bazaar. Do it. We're good friends. So yes, I'll do it. Just let me know, and I'll try to collaborate the best I can with you. Okay. What do you want the future for this channel? I'll separate the political stuff. It's going to go to a channel called Potentially Kevin. Potentially Kevin, not Suddenly Susan, whoever left that mean comment on my YouTube channel. Potentially Kevin is just going to be me. The whole reason why it's called Potentially Kevin, just look up the definition of potential, and you'll see it's kind of a play on positive psychology and kind of existentialism in a little bit. I have a potential to becoming something greater. But I still is going to be me in a sense. So there you go. Plain words. Whew. Do you think extended format will ever be recreated? It was a format. No, I think that they're all in on modern. I actually think that there will be a new format. Ixalan forward is where I think they'll be. So people should look into that. There's more time from modern to today than there was from when Legacy was created to modern. So Modern's card pool is actually more deep than Legacy was when they decided that it was a format that they couldn't support anymore because it was just too deep of cards. So Theta Adele is a very, very fun commander. It's a thief deck, so I've built it with thief decks in mind. So it's all about stealing spells, stealing artifacts, stealing creatures, and usually there are very, very few times I actually win with my own cards. I always win with my opponent's cards. Stop playing Paradox Engine in your decks, or I'm going to steal it and infinite combo with like 99% of the cards in my deck. I don't know if I even have Paradox Engine in my... I do, I think. But usually when I win with Theta Adele, it's because I steal someone's Paradox Engine. They're giving me a way to tutor a Paradox Engine. So it's their own damn fault. They don't... I won... Well, the last game I won was Chain Veil. I stole someone's Chain Veil and used it for my own Tezzeret to go like pseudo infinite. So yeah, because Tezzeret untaps Chain Veil and then untaps an artifact. So I stole someone's Mana Crypt and then stole someone's Chain Veil, and then that just allowed me to keep like infinitely untapping Chain Veil and going crazy there. So it's a fun deck because people want to complain. Then it's like it's your own damn fault. If you're worried, if you're mad that I did something crazy, then that's your own damn fault for playing cards like that in your deck. So, because everyone does complain that I have crazy combos. Nahab has a lot of broken stuff it can do. Shout out to my boy Talmadge here. Just because if I don't shout out to Talmadge, he'll cry. Talmadge lives at our store, at least on every Friday. Talmadge is a dependent, so your donations will literally go to feeding Talmadge. All my Magic dependents that all their parents owe me money. Just kidding, Talmadge. We love you. Talmadge, what do you think is the best way to become a better player? Repetition, 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 and being honest with yourself of what lost you the game. You need to find out, you need to be brutally honest of what lost you the game and make changes accordingly. Your deck either sucks, you either suck, and you got to find ways to not suck. So a lot of people get stuck. A lot of spikes I know get stuck because of the variance. Oh, it was just variance. It was just that. Yes, variance plays a role. I am very tilty. Ask Talmadge, ask Zach. I get extremely tilty when variance doesn't go my way. But variance is just part of the deck. Part of the game, you have to write it. Thoughts on Canadian Highlander? Is that just one of every card? It's fine. I've said this in the past though, that it's hard for me to get into formats that aren't major formats, because how I like to play the market and be competitive. So both of those are going to be very very, like they're very pertinent to what's going on. So it's hard for me to get in formats that don't really affect the market my name. Zach, are you literally asking a question from less than a room away?
Yeah.
And now he's poking his head. Do you think we should go fishing with the wind, or should I start to alter? Yeah, I don't think fishing is possible here. Sorry, Chloe. Where's Chloe at?
40 miles an hour is bad.
Sorry, Chloe. You should hear our store right now. I just keep hearing bang boom. Like, when's the internet gonna cut out? Because it is blowing like crazy. We usually go fishing on Sunday. That's Chloe's job. Hey, come here, pup. She's being mad. I'm surprised she hasn't attacked me yet. Alrighty, have I caught up to questions? Go subscribe to Legendary Mana too. Very, very good commentary on Legendary Mana. Friend of mine. Difference between Canadian Highlander and EDH is just no commander. Correct? Do I have this right? I believe it's Canadian Highlander is just a Highlander format. That's a Highlander is just 100 cards, no more than one of every card. Correct? All right, a more serious question. What's your thoughts? One criticism of the community and actual harassment. How many people do you think know the true difference? I've said this before. I don't know if Jeremy's still in this stream. He probably just went on to bigger and better things, HQ. But the first time I watched Tulare Community College video, I was like, oh God, I didn't know how bad this was. Because I follow Jeremy on Twitter, but you know what? Twitter to me, in the last, I would say 10 days, do you know what Twitter used to be? It was me spamming my videos. That was the like extent that Twitter was. I would go on the YouTube little icon, say tweet to Twitter, and then tweet my video. And every now and again I would be involved. I started becoming a little more involved with Twitter when like Cardsphere would talk to me on Twitter, and a lot of other people would talk to me on Twitter. And so I honestly didn't know a lot of the tweets back and forth that Jeremy had, unless it was brought up in other discussions. So the first time I watched Learning Community College video, I was a little bit shocked, and it did tend to seem to me to be crossing the board of what you would consider harassment. Then the more I watched it, I probably watched the video, Talarian's video, like 5 times. And the more and more that I watch it, the more I'm like, this isn't something that you can designate as harassment. It all sticks within the bounds of criticism, in my opinion. I agree a lot of it with like how Vito says it on his criticism of of Jeremy. Of course, not to the extent, because I know where Jeremy's coming from. So when you know a guy's position, you know he's just a very sarcastic, banterous, nothing is sacred person. It's a lot easier to swallow the comments. So then you also have to admit too that I know how Tulare Community College operates, and everything that comes from that guy is about as disingenuous as it comes. He tries to come off as a guy that has your back, that's here for consumer awareness, that isn't afraid to call out WotC. But that's why he became popular, is because he was calling out WotC. So that's kind of a moot argument. Then a lot of things in Tulare videos are extremely disingenuous. He invokes the Holocaust. You should never invoke the Holocaust when talking about that. Like everyone suffered from it. It doesn't make you any more special or have any more say on it or give you sympathy because you may happen to have some Jewish ancestry and people died in it. It's this. You can see how disingenuous that was. So then you start to build, okay, if he's going to make those sort of comments in his own video, then you have to take the entire video with that sort of grain of salt, that he's gonna try to score political points here and there. And then when you actually start linking the Twitter stuff together, you can see that a lot of it is out of context and things like that. So then the comment that really got me was Antifa. I don't even know what Antifa is. I don't even want to know. Oh, bull. I know this from a fact because me and him have had political conversations. And Brian is an extremely left-leaning person, and he's okay stating that. And we've had personal conversations about this. And I would not be surprised if that guy pumps money into Antifa. And that was so disingenuous. See, that shows that he knows that Antifa is not a good thing. And so he wants to distance himself as much as possible. And so the entire video just made me rethink and rewatch it over again. I'm like, ugh. I don't know if any of this constitutes as harassment. I don't think it does. And again, that's my personal opinion on it. Again, no beefs towards Christine Sprankle, no beefs towards cosplay. People should be able to do what they want to do. If cosplay was a net good to the community and Wizards thought that it was a net good, go for it. Every community's got cosplay now. I love Halloween, so I'm a cosplayer, right? Yeah. So I want to say is I'm biased in this opinion, of course, because now being lumped in with this whole thing, I'm going to be biased. But I hope that explains where I'm coming from there again. All right. Will you ever do some legacy brews? Nope. I refuse to support legacy because I just don't think that I don't want to support something I can't get my own customers into. You agree with that, Zach?
Oh, heck yeah.
I think it's my moral, ethical obligation to promote things that my own playgroup can actually afford. And legacy is just unplayable here in Richfield. If you like it, go for it. It's just something that I'm not going to invest in. We could be investing in other things that could build our community here better. And I won't play legacy just for the cost. I don't have a problem with how it functions. Kyle, again, I keep referencing to Kyle Rusciano, who I did the interview with. He keeps trying to say, play legacy, you'll love it. It has combo, but you have answers for combos. It's the exact opposite of modern. You have like real hard answers to combo. But I don't think that I'll ever get into it. Do you still think Infect is the worst mechanic Watson came up with? Yes.
No.
Shut up, Zach.
No.
Zach loves Infect. By the way, you guys should try Zach's little take. I love to insult Zach because he does wacky stuff. Court of Calling in Infect, don't laugh. It's pretty good. How many games have you won with Court of Calling in Infect?
20.
Oh my god, he has killed me so many times, and I'm so stupid. I fall for it every time because I forget that he's running Court of Calling in his Infect deck, where he tutors up an elf at the end of turn while I tap out to try to establish some sort of because the first part of Infect you have to just keep responding. So he'll have like one card left in hand, and nothing gives haste in the entire deck. So you're like, okay, I can safely tap out. No Inkmoth Nexus on the field, no Glistener Elf on the field. I can safely tap out. So then he taps out and then throws in a Glintinous Elf and then Become Immenses and kills me. It has happened so often. So gotta give it to that guy. He's actually smart sometimes. Where was I here? Okay, so Infect I just don't like because you can't interact with it. They needed a way you can interact with Infect. It's stupid. I hate commander damage. I hate Infect. I hate energy for that reason. Would you ever throw Enigma Drake in a Grixis Jeskai midrange deck for a 4 for flying for a 3/3? Are you talking Modern here, Jason? Because no, Modern has better stuff at that point. I think it's too weak. Best 4-drop in Modern. As a Soul Sister player, the 4-drop I don't want to play against is Olivia. I don't know if it's the best, though. Huntmaster's a little bit easier to handle. Olivia just wrecks my day. Kalidas is also good in that slot. I'm surprised to see that Kalidas has been... What's my favorite 4-drop? Koth of the Hammer. Hands down. Koth of the Hammer. I've won so many games with Koth. I think it's one of my favorite cards there. Didn't make my top 10 list I was thankful for. Is there a 4-drop on my top 10 list that I was thankful for? I'm not sure. But it's a very underrated deck, very underrated card. All right, where was I? Basket Case, you're more than welcome to have that opinion of HQ, and it's a very, very fair position to have, by the way. What about Legacy and Vintage on MTGO? Again, I mainly play Magic. MTGO is just like a necessary evil that I play to do gameplays. I actually don't enjoy MTGO that much. I like it because it gives you access to better competition. But the whole reason I play Magic is for the social aspect. I don't play it if I want a competitive game. If I want a fun game, I'll play Dota 2. Magic is my hang out with the guys or girls. We actually do have girls that come to our play group. That's what I don't golf. I don't play pool. I don't go to the bar. So Magic is my social life. Yeah, what bar in Richfield? Our bar is so sad here. Zach and I went there one time. Oh god. I think they got shut down. There's a new one. We haven't even tried it out, but the one bar in Richfield. All right. Why do you hate commander damage? Because it's antiquated. I think the whole reason it was in commanders was for the elder dragons, gave them an actual point to use them, and it gets broken with a lot of commanders very, very quickly. Again, you can't really interact with it, and it just allows for a lot of like cheesy one shots. Oh, how long will I be live streaming for? I said 3 hours, so we have a half an hour left. I was starting to get tired, though, to be honest. And then I need to meet with Greg, and maybe Tasty wanted to shoot the breeze, too. I don't know. Where is Tasty, that liar? He said he was going to come on here. How can you choose Koth over Torch of Defiance? Easy. Koth is so good. But they're both in there, so it's not really... You don't choose. They play different roles. Do you think this might end up being a good thing, that this will be remembered as a point where Magic the Gathering community respect each other? Let's hope it turns out that way. Jesse, is that your name? T Jesse? I don't know if that's how you say it. I'm terrible pronouncing stuff. I'm worse than Saffron. Seth. Favorite hero in Dota 2? All right, be ready to hit that unsubscribe button, because my favorite hero in Dota 2 is Necrophos, because I love running characters that can just get out of control, and I love before Radiance was cool on Necro, that used to be my build, used to be my jam, and then of course Necro in this last, not this patch but 2 patches ago, became out of control and got nerfed, and I think they nerfed the wrong abilities, so I'm very, very upset about the Necro. Currently my favorite Dota 2 hero, I'm really liking Medusa at this point. I think Medusa is powerful. I've had a thing for Ursa and Bane and Legion. There'll be a lot of them that I'll try, but Necrophos by far. I think I have more games with Necrophos than I do with every other character combined. Or no, I don't. Close though. Can we get a spicy silver border brew once Unstable comes out? Well, I don't know, Felix. I don't think we can actually have some of those cards in our store because they're offensive. And Wizards sent us out a new rules for our local game store that we're supposed to post, that there can't be any offensive material. And I think we need to adhere to Wizards. Don't you agree, Zach?
Oh, heck yeah.
We have to agree. We can't have those cards in our store. We cannot have all the other unsets in our store because they are offensive, and we have to abide by Wizards rules. So no unglued and no unhinged cards, and some of these unstable cards too. They could be deemed as offensive. So nope, can't have it. So I can't brew a deck. I don't want to offend Wizards here. I can't do it.
Well, if you can't say fat ass, why would you be able to play it?
I don't know if you guys can hear Zach from back there. He said if you can't play fat ass, then what? Or you can't say fat ass. It's funny because you actually look at fat ass. It doesn't remind you of Crackgate. Just the positioning. Holy cow! Someone should actually Photoshop that. Put the guy doing his little position and have us. The fat shame. It's called fat ass. Is the card from Unglued or Unhinged, and then they should have the Crackgate dude sit and do his pose there. That'd be funny. The thing I love about MTG is the same thing many hate. I love that you can get mana screwed, love the variants. Yes, it's a necessary evil, Matthew. I agree with you. Otherwise, it would just be the same thing over and over again. Variance plays a role. I'm an ex-poker player. I know that has a huge part. Do you think you'll live in Utah the rest of your life? I don't know, Andrew. Maybe, maybe not. I love the mountains. I want to be one of those crazy old guys that just spends his life up on the mountain. So, go look at a thing called Fire Stove. Fire Stove? Is that what it is? Firebox stoves. Andrew, Firebox Stoves, they have a YouTube channel. He just takes his dog. It's this older guy that just takes his dog up on the mountains and cooks food. And to me, that's like the ideal life. I'd get bored though. I'm such an extrovert. I'd need new people in my life. But okay, so I'm way behind on things here. What is your thoughts on Saskia the Unyielding? My favorite commander. I've never played her. Him, her, it. What is Saskia? Gender. I don't know what's Saskia. Saskia is the one that deals damage. You choose an opponent, right? And then it deals damage equal to how much damage you do to you choose a player whenever your creatures deal damage. I know people play it. I've never played it myself, so anyway. I'm not a fan of Sniper. Retarderon, that's your name, huh? Retarderon87. I'm also not a fan of Sniper, and I have an insane win percentage with Sniper. Hate that. Sniper in this patch needs to go. I hate Sniper as well. Sniper's the teamer energy of the format. Sniper's like Cobblade. I don't like League of Legends. I think League of Legends is, hey, it's Tasty. Hey, you guys got to be careful now. Tasty's got the ban hammer. He can moderate this channel. Dota is called Defense of the Ancients. It's like League of Legends, but I think League of Legends is like comparing checkers with chess. League of Legends is a dumbed down version of Dota, in my opinion. What are your feelings of unstable Fallout lands? They're fine. I think it's sad that that's the only way they can push sales, though. It's just this set just makes me upset in so many different ways, but it's fine. They can put that junk in there. It's fine with me. I'm not. You gotta know. Zach and I will argue till we're blue in the face here about art matters, because Zach's an artiste. If you come in our hall, you can see a bunch of Zach's art in the hallway, and so he's an artiste. So he's got different points of view on art. I could care less. My favorite artwork is Ancient Tomb, though, the one with the little comical ghosts. I wish art would go back to that. Ever thought about making a rogue Discord channel? No, because I don't have a lot of experience with Discord, and I don't know how active I'd be, and I think I'd disappoint people. I don't want to spread myself too thin. What is your best way to deal with unfriendly opponents when playing a match at FNM? Just keep your calm, keep your cool, let it blow over. You don't have to see them again. Play the game. If it gets out of control, you can tell your local game store. I think that everything should be handled personally. But a lot of times you tell people how you feel, that can disarm a lot of stuff. But I'm with you. It's just you just need to be good with who you are, and it's a lot easier to tolerate the intolerable. Do you know, Ross? I do the exact same thing this Seth does. Seth can get salty at times. I hate when he plays Rogue original decks, but complains how he gets beat by Rogue. Oh man, I'm so guilty of this. I get so mad when I lose to someone, because I'm like, man, if I would just played a tier deck, I'd be fine. But this one, Tyler, I get so salty when Tyler plays at our store, because there's my decks that I try to keep as low variance as possible, and then there's Tyler that just throws the what's the term? Throws the what's the wind? Why I can't think, because I've been streaming for 2.5 hours. But anyway, he doesn't care about variance. He'll run the most variance-ridden decks, and I'll be the one opponent that it will work against that entire night. And then, Tyler. I'm so salty against Tyler. All right. Oh, man. I love the hash browns and brook trout. Okay, cool. So, Inner City Pigeon. Me too. I love the guy's channel. And whoever keeps complaining about cutthroat trout, I finally ate my first cutthroat trout because I accidentally killed it. Because I'm usually a catch and release person, but I'll bring home the fish that I accidentally kill, because it's going to happen when you fish. And I ate a cutthroat, and I didn't mind it. It has kind of a cool little taste to it. I've just heard that a lot of people hate cutthroats. They don't taste very good, but I disagree. Okay, where am I going with? How do you think the Frontier format failed? It didn't get picked up. I don't think it's possible for a format to really to actually succeed without wizards, which is sad. We tried. We gave it a try. What are you growling at?
What? It's just me. Can you go pee?
Yes. Chloe's demanding. She just growled at Zach. She is if her water dish is out, she'll flip it over, and then she'll bark at it, and then she'll pick it up and throw it at me. That dog. Since Ixalan, we had a resurgence of tribal decks and different builds for old ones. What's your opinion about tribal decks? I love tribal. Leonardo, if I could bring back one mechanic, it would be tribal. It would be tribal. Tribal spells are awesome. I love that. And I never played during that time. I only get them from like playing Commander. I didn't play during Lorwyn. It was one of my big breaks. Appreciate MTG Tavern. Compliment here. I think we're all caught up. Did I miss any questions with the Q&A? We'll try to shoot the breeze for another. I've been streaming for 2 hours and 42 minutes. I said I'd do a 3-hour stream, and any other questions are greatly appreciated. But highly joined, if you guys are interested in like Card Bazaar and Tasty, check out Mythic Med MTG as well. We're trying to start another community for people that aren't in the in group. So I think that's something that's feasible. I talked about how I don't think Frontier can be picked up without Wizards support, but there's no reason I don't think that another community can't be picked up without Wizards support. Did I miss any questions? I know I was scrolling through and then it jumped. Is standard my favorite format, Ryan? Andrew asks. Standard is my favorite format when it's good. Let's just talk about standard for a second here. Standard is, in my opinion, okay and terrible at the same time. Okay, it's okay because the decks that you're playing against each other are very interactive, and I do think that rogue decks can be successful. So any format where that happens, I'm okay with. This isn't Cobblade. This isn't Mono Black Devotion. Those are two of my standards where I've been, and Delver. Yeah, three of the standards where I thought were the most miserable were those three, because not only were they clear best decks, but it was impossible to brew a deck against them. So now we are in a format where Teamer Energy is very beatable. It's only like a 53% deck probably is all. Tasty. Yeah, EST, dude. Not Pacific. Sorry, man. Sorry I misled you. But anyway, what was I talking about? Standard. So Teamer Energy is like a 52% deck. It's a 53% deck. I don't think it's something that is like overbearing. I just think it shows you the pure laziness of the MTG community to try something new. So that's where I stand with standard. Stand with standard, huh? Good one, Kevin. It definitely could be worse. It's better than Aetheric Marvel meta for sure. Oh God, I hated that. But to me, it's more of a critical. It's terrible because it shows us as a community that the spike mentality has completely won. And that's sad because I set out to start a channel to try to get more people to build rogue decks, and people are just too spike oriented now. They just want to play. This is a format that I don't think is impossible to beat the Boogeyman deck. So, oh man, yeah, 3 hours soon. This is actually grueling. 16 or about 15 minutes left now. Any last final questions, and we'll wrap this up. And I'm sure it will take forever for YouTube to upload and render this, even though we've kind of been on the same question here. I think I got through all the questions. Yeah, it's not letting me skip the other way, so I think I did with all the Twitter stuff. Any of the ones, if you messaged me on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, your question was not answered if it was within a 2-hour time block of when I started recording this. So I still play Frontier as well when I can get people to play it against. Your friends like to play EDH, but they always get salty with each other. They complain about combo, they complain about control, and they complain about aggro. Sounds like my commander group in a nutshell. So just do you. Try not to be that person. Lead by example. That's the best thing that I can say. Is a lot of people get kind of like roped into the saltiness, and that's that. So I'm going to scroll up here, see if I've missed anything. So yeah, hopefully the stream has been all right. I know I kind of got a little bit heated there. I try to take comments with a grain of salt and try to be fair with people, but some of those comments there did get me riled up. Especially when you have personal relationships here with people. You've established them in the past, so. Oh, anyway. Just reading over some really quickly here. What are good resources to find a play group if you don't have a local game store close to you? That's what Game Finder tried to do, Tasty. Zach's laughing in the background. Game Finder. Didn't someone just do a video about Game? Who was it? And she Lion just did a video about Game Finder. Do you guys want to talk about Game Finder really quickly? Because I didn't support it, and I didn't support Jeremy at the time. But then years later, I asked him point blank about Game Finder, and I actually honestly believe his story that he did run out of money, and he said the community was just so against him at the end that it just was a losing battle. And he has the receipts for all the developer stuff. He actually lost money on that whole thing, and I believe him because I've seen other developing things happen before, and just the tens of thousands of dollars I have to go into it. But it was a decent idea. I don't know if it could work. Maybe in a couple of years when people even become more tied to their smartphones, it will be a good way to utilize it. But well, Tasty, the only thing I really know is he said she said stuff. So you all know about the Game Finder problem. Jeremy was outcast, was thrown out of the community early on. I need to quit saying Jeremy because when I was ranting about a Jeremy earlier, it was a different Jeremy. And when I got heated, that was a different Jeremy. And so now I'm just saying Jeremy, Jeremy, Jeremy. And there's probably like 10 Jeremys in this. We have a Jeremy at our store, and Zach and I will be talking about a Jeremy, and he thinks we're talking about him. And it's pretty funny. But anywho, Game Finder was one of those things that HQ, he works with companies developing stuff, and he thought he genuinely had a good idea for it. And he reached out to the community for people to help spread the word and even offered to pay them. However, before that, he'd been kind of thrown out of the community. I had beef with him. A lot of other people had beef with him for the first breakup between what was called the MTG Big YouTubers community, and then we all left and started our own one because Jeremy and I think Zemet, who was the other Jeremy, had the moderation, had control over it, and people didn't want to be in that group anymore. So we started another group, and at first it was kind of like Magic for Bad was against Desolator. Our new group was literally called No Drama, and it was all just about memeing on Jeremy HQ. It was just, that was how the very first, all those posts have since been like deleted, and it's hard to find evidence against this kind of stuff. But I remember the very first part of what we call No Drama that then turned into No Fart Bags, which was these private Facebook groups that people were involved in. It was just all about memeing on HQ. And so that's when I say Wedge and Tony Q aren't innocent in all this stuff. They participated just fine in memeing on Jeremy. And so then Jeremy reached out to all of us, and no one wanted to do Game Finder, and we memed on that like crazy. And then Kevin Saffel's Darium CCG decided that he was going to review it anyway because he didn't like the direction. And Kevin, he memed on Jeremy as much as the rest of us. It was just one big happy kind of circle jerk meme against HQ at the time. So Jeremy's right. We were jaded against him from the first, but no one was like stopping anyone from talking to Jeremy until Wedge had a come apart when he found out people were reviewing Jeremy's app, because he thought that our whole group was an alliance. He thought our entire group was against the HQ, and he was a bully. And so if one person deviated from that, it was an attack on the rest of us. And you can go find that audio clip that was secretly recorded with Wedge and with Kevin Wedge and the McQuacks. And there's some pretty damning stuff in it against Wedge. So that caused another divide. And then of course the community went down there. But Wedge did actively try to stop Game Finder from happening. It wasn't out of a sense of trying to stop something bad for the community, because Wedge will say he was trying to keep pedophiles away from people. Oh, shut up. Shut up, Wedge. You weren't trying to be a what's the word we want to look, an advocate, a commercial advocate, or whatever we want to call it. You didn't like Jeremy, and you wanted to see him fail. And that's the whole reason why you tried to tell people they couldn't do it. And, I'm responsible for a lot of the memeing, and I'm responsible for a lot of the Jeremy hate early on, too, because I voiced some very, very adamant opinions against Jeremy. And you can go check out some of my old videos for my reasons why, which is water under the bridge now. And I still extend that exact same thing to everyone else that I've been critical with or doesn't like me at this point. It can all be water under the bridge with any of them. If there's ever an example of two people to get along again, I think HQ and I are great, or Jeremy and I are a great example, because we did not like each other at all, and we've since been able to set our beefs aside and actually become friends. So take that for what it's worth. You don't have to like Jeremy. I'm not telling you to do. So yeah. So that's a little bit disingenuous about Game Finder. From what I've been able to piece together, and speaking to Jeremy personally, and having this sort of more than this friendship with him, I genuinely can say that he wanted Game Finder to succeed. He thought it was a good idea. He pumped more than his own the money that was pledged. He pumped a ton of his own money into it, and it failed. So it doesn't sting any harder to anyone else than it does to Jeremy. It stings to him. That was a huge black eye. That was a huge financial black eye to him. I'm sure his wife gave him crap about it. I'm sure he got "I told you so's" like you cannot imagine, and people mad at him for stealing their money. But that's when you back something on a project like this. I think like 98% of these things fail. Go watch Shark Tank. Like 98% of good ideas or businesses in the early stages fail, and it was just another casualty. So, but yeah. Anyway, any other last closing questions? We have 7 minutes left. 6 minutes left. I guess there is a couple ones here. Let's see here. When will we find out Jeremy will be banned? This is beyond Jeremy now. I think they're trying to get evidence for multiple people. I would not be surprised if I was on that list, because I'm sure they can find some evidence against me because of, I doubt I'll be on there though, but I'm just saying I think they're trying to get evidence against an entire group of people. It's going to be a big banning, not just a small banning, not just Jeremy. So there'll be many people that will hit this list, because they don't want to isolate Jeremy here. They want to release a statement about bullying, harassing, and just group a huge amount of people into that list. That's my theory of what's happening. What do you think that Wizards was thinking about when they called Iconic the last modern set? Maybe they just think that's the last set that came out, which is modern. I'm not sure. Maybe they've realized that their cash cow's dead, and they can't just focus on modern. I still think there's some good venues that they can go. They also remember that everything Return to Ravnica forward is pretty much worthless, and so it's hard for them to focus on sets from RTR forward and not just be the same set over and over again with Modern Masters 1, Modern Masters 2, and Modern Masters 3, mainly focusing on the earlier sets. All right. What would the banning be from MTGO YouTube playing in events? Yes, yes, and yes. You can't ban from YouTube. They don't have the power. They can try to say you can't show their brand stuff, but that is a very slippery slope, because anything that you can slightly say is a review is covered under fair use. And MTGO content, like the whole thing with MTGO content, they can't specifically go out after you for MTGO content. Otherwise, they have to shut down their own streams. Like it'll get very messy. It'll get insanely messy for like people they want to stream, and that doesn't make sense for them. They want the more people streaming, the more people creating content, the better for them. So I think it will be a DCI ban, and for some people, if they know that they have a significant presence on MTGO, it will be seizing their collection the same way they did with Zach Jesse. So with Zach Jesse, they say they fairly compensated him. So I'm not worried if they were to seize my MTGO account, for example. If they want to compensate me, good. I can get off that damn game. But no, I'm joking there. I want to continue, of course, to create content. But yeah. So, do you think the age of Professor, Wedge, and HQ will fade away? No, I think the Professor and Wedge are still going strong, especially Professor. I can be as critical as I want against Brian, but his content's absolutely. Yeah, it's really good. He's by far the highest production quality of videos, and I've enjoyed many of them in the past. That's why it cut so deep when our friendship deteriorated, because not only was I a fan, but I was tickled pink that we were friends. And when friendship came to but of course I'm going to be more loyal than me. I'm not going to back down, and I'm sure we could remain friends if I just let him push me around and adhere to a certain ideology or stuff. So appreciate the comment, Vanderwall. I'm glad you made money off of the MTGO videos. I've made some bad calls, but I think I've made some pretty good calls. Tasty Snackies, can you ask Kevin for opinion? Reserve list, sorry, I must have missed it. Retarderin. Reserve list that's where you should direct questions. Make Tasty moderate this crap. And now we're coming to the close here. Reserve list expansion, no, absolutely not. Nope. Let supply and demand work its way. Just stop reprinting cards into oblivion, Wizards. Iconic Masters should have been a smaller print run, not a large one. What's the next step of trying from just F&M player to trying to take the game more serious? So I would, David, start getting into some PTQs and Grand Prix if you can. That's the next form of, that's where you want to be after this. So just continue, take baby steps. So get good at your F&M level. Then start playing into the Grand Prix trials, the PPTQs, those type of stuff. And then don't be too hard on yourself. This is a progress. We all start out pretty, make mistakes, especially if you're used to playing at F&M. It becomes a whole nother ball game, and then it just keeps doing that. So that's you should always stay within your skill set until you've mastered it. And once you've mastered it, you feel comfortable, start playing those bigger things, and then Grand Prix will be a cakewalk. So also MTGO does help with competition. Helps a lot. That's I highly recommend it for that. The competition there is very. I've probably played every pro on MTGO because they play there, and I play in the queues they're going to play in. So yep. All right. What's your thoughts on sellers canceling transactions while prices are spiking? Ross, I hate sellers and buyers. They both do this. We had people cancel on Modern Masters 2 or 3, Zach, or was it Eternal? One of it is either Eternal Masters, Iconic Masters, or it was Eternal Masters. We had people cancel on us. So they pre-ordered when we were the lowest pre-order price. There was one person that they ordered quite a few of them, and I think we always try to match eBay, because if we can match eBay and not take the eBay cut, win-win for us, because all of our excess stock is just going to go on eBay. So that's why we try to stick with eBay. And so we were pre-selling at $225. And a person ordered a ton of them, and then they canceled on us. And then, so it's like, okay, because it went down to like 185 or 175 or some junk like that. It's like, that's stupid. So you don't want stores to do that to you, but you're willing to do that to them. Everyone should stick to their agreed upon prices. Now, I've had to cancel cards that spiked up because we're terrible at inventory management here. So I've got some people mad at us on the TCG before, and it happens, though. It happens when you go to look for cards like, oh, crap, this kid came and bought me out today, and we just didn't have time to remove it from. A lot of these are mom and pop shops that don't have a whole inventory management system that synchronizes. The only thing that synchronizes your own stock with TCG Player plus eBay right now is Crystal Commerce, and their fees are outrageous. So for little stores like ours, it's just not feasible. And so that does happen. If they do it maliciously, screw them. But you got to give them a little bit of leeway, because I know how hard it is to run a game store, especially like Zach and I. We probably don't have any business running a business because we're not business people. We're learning as we go, and mistakes will be made. So again, cut some people some slack. Try to weed out if there's any possibility, give them the benefit of the doubt, do so. But if you can cast their maliciousness, boycott them. Don't shop them again. I had a dumb store that kept giving me the runaround about these. What were they? Elementals, Quicksilver Elementals. I bought 8 of them from their store, and they a month goes by. Where are my Quicksilver? Oh, sorry, our inventory went down. We'll send them off today. It'll be here by Monday, the latest. Monday goes around, Tuesday, Wednesday. Give them an entire another week. Where's my Quicksilver Elementals? Oh, they must have got lost in the mail. Let's give you a refund, but we're only going to give you a refund if you give us a 5-star rating. You change your 1 to a 5. I'm like, nope. I'll escalate this up. So yeah, there is some bad stores out there. There's also some people that genuinely make mistakes, and me and Zach are definitely not immune to making mistakes. And so if we ever send you something, please contact me personally. We will side on your. We'll definitely side with you. So anyway, I think we're a little bit over here. I'm gonna try to call it here because, man, I've got this Costa Vita that I need to re-microwave now. That's been sitting here. Got to thank Zach for getting it. And also, I'm getting tired. So I hope everyone liked this one. Waste Not Storm was fun. I need to redo that. And yeah, appreciate sticking around for as long as you did, the one that did, and just saw me ramble. I apologize for getting tired here. I don't think I've ever streamed this long. Me and Tasty did it, but it was way late at night, so we were both pretty much running on sleep deprivation that makes you kind of more excitable. Spencer, I'll talk about that relationship more, by the way. But appreciate everyone for showing up. I hope I answered all your questions. We'll do this again soon. and Kevin term soon. And I again, if you guys, the overwhelming support that I've received in the past couple of days is just amazing. A lot of times I think I'm more of the invisible person in the community. So you'll see like, you know, a lot of people get a ton of hate and a ton of support. And then sometimes it feels like smaller people's woes will just go unheard. And there's actually nothing worse than being unheard. You'd rather have negative feedback than no feedback at all. But man, this was just a huge outpouring of encouragement. And again, don't send Gathering Magic hate. They don't, I don't think Rich deserves it, of course. And we'll be doing it again soon. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I am signing off. Thanks a lot.